And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roger, planet.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Echo down to nominal.
Fighting downside FD off. Bring in FD off. Off. It's orange! 145!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
The methane would be igniting the flare, correct?
Yikes. You read? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Good evening, everybody. You are taking a live look at two rockets which are vertical at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. On the left, we've got Atlas V from United Launch Alliance at Slick 41 with the Viasat-3 F2 mission. And on the right, the first launch of the evening, we have SpaceX's Falcon 9 vertical at Slick 40 for the Starlink Group 681 mission scheduled to launch in just under 1 hour's time. Thank you very much for joining us on what's looking like a very crystal clear Floridian evening here on the Space Coast. My name is Ryan Caton for NSF. But of course, it's not just my voice you'll be hearing over the next several hours of live broadcasting, because as you might have seen in the thumbnail and in the title, this is a double-header stream. We will be covering Starlink and Viasat in the same stream. And alongside me for the beginning of today's stream is Alex, reunited once again from the launch mount role yesterday. How you doing, Alex?
Yeah, we were together yesterday. I was briefly on the Ariane 6 launch just to plug.
You
your
barged in.
studios
You
space.
barged in at the end.
I did. I'm gonna be honest. Yes, I did. But you know, it's a special night at the Cape because we have two launches back to back, less than 2 hours from each other. So yeah, let's see some launches. Why not?
And of course, bringing you these live views, they don't come to you with no effort at all. It takes a lot of work to bring these live views. And one of those people bringing us live views is Max Evans, joining us from the field. Max, this looks like a crystal clear evening. How is it from your point of view, actually experiencing this weather?
Yes, indeed it is, Ryan, and good evening, everybody. It is a rather special evening with a double header, and I believe this is our fourth of the year, so things are getting pretty serious here. So, yes, the weather is looking pretty much as good as it can get. We have a supermoon above our heads, and we have two rockets on adjacent launch pads next to each other, so the evening festivities are about to commence.
And there you go, a live view of that beautiful full moon over Florida right now, being tracked with one of our robotic assets we have there, also available on Space Coast Live 24/7. Alongside Max, we also have DYs out in the field providing some additional views. And rumor has it there's a telescope which has even been deployed. So we might even get some extra, there we go, extra super duper zoomed in giga views there from Dee's telescope. And you can really see here, usually there's like horrible heat haze in Florida. It's just makes any kind of zoomed in shot look horrible and boiled and just bleh. But oh my goodness, you can almost make out the stars in the American flag on the side of the Falcon 9 booster there. You can even read out the SpaceX lettering on the side there. And one of the reasons, Alex, you can read out that SpaceX lettering is because as Falcon 9 boosters come, this is a pretty young one, isn't it?
Yeah, this is actually a rather new booster. I mean, it's flown before. It's not completely new, but it's a young one, as you said, right? It's B1094. This is going to be its fifth launch, so that means it's done 4 previous launches. Those have been Starlink Group 12-10, Axiom 4 Crew 11, and Engine 23. So it's already well known to launch payloads to the ISS. And less known, I guess, for Starlink missions, it's only done 1. So with this, it's going to be 2 versus 3. 2 Starlinks, 3 ISS. So yeah, this mission, as you can see on the title and on the top left, is Starlink 681. That means it's part of the group 6 of the missions. It's been 6 months, ironically, since the last group 6 mission that was in May of this year. And the whole reason why they're going back is because these are 243-degree inclination. And that means essentially that today's launch is going to head southeast. So you can see there the return, the recovery for this booster is going to be just read the instructions, but instead of being on the North Atlantic side of the ocean, it's going to be closer to the Bahamas. It's not going to be exactly in the Bahamas, but it's going to be sort of southeast, north of the Bahamas. And so it's going to be a little bit of a better weather compared to the North Atlantic in the fall and winter seasons. And so that's why they go southeast. There's still another Group 10 mission, I think, still on the schedule from 39A, but northeast launches will be fading away, and we'll welcome in the southeast launches. There you can see some of the hazard zones for today's mission, both air and marine notices for launch, and also the re-entry and landing of the booster, and as well for the fairings, because these fairings are also flight proven, and they're going to be recovered by fairing recovery vessel Bob.
And if next spaceflight isn't lying to me, I believe this is the first time it'll be landing, or attempting to land, rather, should I say, on just read the instructions. All of the previous missions have been on a short-forward gravitas or back at the landing zones. Am I correct?
I think so. I've not checked, if I'm going to be honest.
Did I just out spreadsheet Alex? Look at me go. This is a
just
record-breaking stream, everyone.
I just don't write down that, because otherwise I will be writing a lot of details about the different flights. But yeah, I can see it did Axiom 4, Crew 11, and NG23. Those were probably RTLS. I will just have to go and look up 1210, and it was a chauffeur of gravitas. Ironically, 1210 was also around the same time as the last of these Group 6 missions. So I had it open very, very neatly around that point in the schedule. So I didn't have to look that up that hard.
That being said, I should also point out that these live streams don't produce themselves. We have people, believe it or not, pushing buttons behind the scenes. One of those people is Jay Keegan. Thank you very much, Jay, who is going to be bringing us through the first half of today's stream for the Starlink launch. And later on, we'll have, of course, the voice of God, Kevin Michael Reed, joining as producer for the Viasat Atlas V launch portion of the stream. But here we go. You can see a beautiful view across the water here at night time. You can see the flashing 4 towers around Slick 40, the lightning protection system there. And of course, I should also mention that if you are new around here and you were not previously aware, if you want to tag us in chat at NASA Spaceflight or at NSF, it's a bit of a quicker way to do it. Questions and comments, that'll bring it into a nice little queue we have in the background. It allows us to put your questions on the screen so everybody can read them out as well. So just one of those things. A little bit of housekeeping here, but under 51 minutes to go now until Starlink 681. First of all, we did get a little bit of support before we even started the live stream, which I always find absolutely bonkers. Zieps, sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly, became a Capcom member. We had 3 Capcom memberships, actually. This one, then we had Mr. N also becoming a Capcom member, and Space Pope becoming a Capcom member as well. That's 3 people who should now have access to our behind-the-scenes Discord server. So if you want to join the NSF Discord, Capcom membership and above is one of the ways to do it. Echo Deal, thank you very much for the $10 super chat. Thank you very much for the support. And also Lords of Random, thank you very much for your support as well. Anyways, Alex, I think you have some facts to talk about, because there have been close launches before out of the Cape, but even though these 2 launches are close, they're not record close, right?
Yeah, so a lot of people might be wondering, because we're doing this whole thing of, doing the double header and everything. So I'm sure there's people in the chat wondering, is this a record? Well, I'm afraid to say that no, it is no record by any means historically, but it is at least in modern times. And by that I mean, in the recent decades and things like that, it is definitely quite a rapid time between one launch and the other from the Cape, for example, where you've got Falcon 9 launching today first, and then you've got Atlas V launching 1 hour and 52 minutes after that. If it launches, at least at the beginning of the window, because there's also a window for the Viasat launch there on the left-hand side. So if that were to happen, it will definitely be the fastest in modern times, as in recent decades and things like that. But the overall record for the Cape goes back to Gemini 11, and that was quite faster by about 15 minutes. I can tell you here the dates. So it was at 1300 UTC in 5 minutes and 1 second for the Agena launch, and then for the Gemini 11, because they were sort of trying to dog each other in space, and so they launched first the Agena target vehicle, and then the Gemini 11 launched about 1 hour 37 minutes and 25 seconds later at 14:42 and 26 UTC. On the same day, on September 12, 1966. And here we can see some replay, I guess, of that Gemini 11 launch back in the day. And that is the shortest time between launches from the Cape by any rocket, by any two rockets, any two launch pads, any two places at the Cape. That is sort of the record that it is right now. If this launches today, both launches happen on time, it will not break that record. But again, it will be very close, just at 15 minutes from that record. And definitely breaking, again, all sorts of shortest time between launches from recent history, essentially from like 1990s, 2000s, 2010s, and of course from this decade, the 2020s. So really cool that we are, whereas this was one-off, Gemini 11 and Agena target vehicle, all that was a one-off mission. They repeated that in a few other Gemini missions, but it was like single one-off attempts, right? Whereas here, it's becoming more and more common to have missions so close to each other at the Cape. Sometimes a few more hours in between, right? But still very, very common.
And speaking of these launches being so close together, we have an excellent question here from Matt, who is asking, how is the 45th able to handle two launches within 2 hours of each other? And for those of you unaware, both of these launches are going to be taking place from the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. And as it's in the name, Space Force, this is a Space Force operated range, and the 45th is the division of the Space Force, essentially, which deals with running this range, and they're in charge of keeping the areas clear, making sure that if something were to go wrong with rockets that don't have automated flight termination systems, they're there to press the big red button. Lots of interesting things. So we actually had Jay Keegan, who is not only producing the stream right now, but also actually reached out to the Space Force to ask, hey, how do you deal with two launches so close together? And he tweeted this really interesting reply that we got, and they said, I'll just read out the tweet for you here. So Jay said on X that back-to-back launches scheduled for tonight. NSF asked the Eastern Range about how much time is required between the two launches, and the Space Force said, at this time, there is not a specific protocol or policy that designates a firm time frame between launches. The range is currently in the process of updating their systems and policies to support airport-like operations with the high launch cadence from Cape Canaveral. Per Space Launch Delta 45, that's the division that runs the range. A response to NSF, the primary factors that go into scheduling the launch manifest with the range perspective are mission type, airspace reservations from the Federal Aviation Administration, hazardous areas and roadblock requirements, demand for range-supplied commodities, pump station deconfliction, RF frequency conflicts, launch acoustics interference, and personnel resource availability. As you can see from that list, there's many, many, many things, many factors that go into making sure that each operator gets the time on the range that they need in order to launch. Because, of course, safety is the number one priority. The safety of the general public is the number one priority of the Eastern Range. So lots of important things that go into making two launches close together happen. And we'll continue to score. Jay, this is a long tweet. Jay continued on to say, as well as the mentioned primary factors, the range also has to consider disruption to air and sea traffic as part of the approval process. Based on the current T0s for both launches, the time between them will be 1 hour, 52 minutes and 50 seconds, just shy of beating what Alex was just talking about, the long-standing record set by Gemini 11 and its Agena target vehicle all the way back
Gemini.
in the Gemini.
Oh my goodness.
That's how it's pronounced. Just saying, that's how it's pronounced. But there you go. Lots of make sure to go. I think this tweet might be even longer, but make sure to go follow Jay on X, and you can read through that tweet there that he put out. Thanks to asking. Oh, there you go. Even just a little bit of a demonstration of the launch windows for today's 2 missions. And one of those missions, I believe, Alex, has just started fueling, and it's not the Starlink launch that's coming up first.
Yeah, so the Atlas V on Slick 41 at Space Launch Complex 41, if you want to know the entirety of that acronym, it's right now given the go for tanking operations. So they're going to be starting that hopefully after they clear, because they have 2 planned holds in their countdown, right? They go with the T clock differently than the L clock. You can see there, in fact, the difference between the clock for Starlink and the clock for Viasat-3. You'll see one it's T minus, the other is L minus. That's because the L minus counts down to the launch time, and the T minus for Atlas, it counts down to different events, right? It's sort of procedural rather than counting down to the launch time. That's what the L clock is. The T clock is for procedures. And what happens is that at T minus 2 hours, which will be equivalent to L minus 3 hours, they hold the clock, they pause it there for 30 minutes, and then at L minus 2 hours and 30 minutes, which is equivalent again to T minus 2 hours, then the clock resumes. Rather, it's a bit more like T minus L minus 2 hours and 34 minutes, because there's another pause in the countdown at T minus 4 hours, which will be at L minus 34 minutes. Excuse me, not 4 hours, 4 minutes. Oh my God, I'm doing a bad job here. At T minus 4 minutes, which will be L minus 34 minutes, they pause again the clock for 30 minutes in order to be able to do the final checks after propellant load is complete. So what they have done right now is given the go for propellant load on Atlas V, both for the liquid oxygen and the liquid hydrogen on both the Atlas booster and the Centaur upper stage. And so they're going to be starting that process in just a few minutes, getting chill down of the lines and everything, starting to load all of those cryogenics into the rocket. And, if you're wondering what happens with the RP1 on Atlas, because Atlas uses also RP1 on the booster, that was loaded yesterday. So after they rolled out the rocket, they set it down on the pad, they connected all the fluids and everything, and then they loaded the RP1. It is at ambient temperature. They don't need any fast loading or anything like that. That's why the difference between Falcon 9 propellant operations compared to the Atlas V propellant operations. But yeah.
I think you can see by Alex's answer there and explanation, the L minus clock is just a lot more simpler, which is why that's the one we have on the screen right now.
Exactly.
Hopefully that's a concise explanation.
And
L minus is the launch time.
Because now, if we had the T clock, it will have already rolled back from T minus 2 hours, and it will have started counting, because it will have started counting at L minus 2 hours 34 minutes.
In terms of the Starlink launch, however, we've just gone under T minus 41 minutes, and we believe counting at T minus 38 minutes is when some exciting action is about to take place. And I believe we can take a look at some of the events coming up in the timeline after that point, because at T minus 38 minutes is when the launch director will verify whether or not they are go for propellant load. In the event, fingers crossed, they are indeed go. 3 minutes later, at T minus 35 minutes, the rocket propellant 1, that very, very refined kerosene, will start loading on the first and second stages, and the liquid oxygen, the oxidizer, for the first stage will also begin loading at that time. A few minutes later, the liquid oxygen chill down will occur. That is signified by that big vent that we're very accustomed to at this point. And a few minutes, about 4 minutes later, the stage 2 liquid oxygen load will also begin, making sure that the rocket is fully fueled before liftoff. 7 minutes before liftoff, the engines will begin to chill down on the booster. Make sure they're in the correct thermal regime, because you don't want to be shocking your materials with all of the propellants at varying temperatures. and at 5 minutes to go, the strong back will begin to retract as well. A couple minutes before launch, that liquid oxygen load will begin wrapping up for both the first and second stages, and then with 1 minute to go, Falcon 9 will enter startup, take control of the count, and at 0 seconds to go, fingers crossed, we should see Falcon 9 leaving Space Launch Complex 40. And just over a minute to go until that 38-minute mark. We won't hear anything. Well, we usually don't hear anything from SpaceX, unfortunately, in real time on that anymore. But one of the things we will see is a visual indicator, which will be the frost rising on the outside with the liquid oxygen load. And maybe SpaceX will tweet something. We don't know. But those are the two kind of indicators we'll be looking for. And one of the shots we were showing earlier was that beautiful full moon. And Max, we've got a couple questions which are very much suited for you, because we have River Dave Kenny, first of all, asking, is there a possibility of a moon transit shot tonight for either of these rockets, I'll add?
I believe there is for Falcon if you're in just the right spot. Although the higher the moon is in the sky, the less accurate some previous flight data may be, because there are certain wind conditions that the rocket has to account for and correct for above a certain altitude. And at that point, the data is pretty much, I don't want to say borderline useless, but inaccurate compared to what actually happened. And that has actually been the case for us many times, where we have tried to go for a transit where the moon is about maybe 2.5 to 3 hours into the sky after moonrise, and we were off by about a moon length, or moon width, I should say, or two, to either side. So can be less accurate. Although if you are in the correct spot, it will happen. It becomes very difficult to figure out where that might actually happen. For Atlas, I believe the moon is going to be too high no matter where you are. I haven't actually plotted that one out yet, so I can't say with certainty. But there is a slim chance for Falcon 9 if you are in just the right spot. So the moon is really high, and obviously it is only getting higher. It rose maybe just under 2 hours ago now or so. But yes, if you're in just the right spot, there is. But good luck to you if you are chasing it.
Yeah, as you might have seen on the NSF socials or on This Week in Spaceflight, which comes out every Friday, which you should totally watch, by the way, there was a very, very, very cool moon transit shot from the Shenzhou 21 launch from Zhouchen in China last Friday, and that was spectacular. So moon transit shots, very, very cool indeed. Another question we had relating to the field is the auditory experience. I think that's the correct word. But we have CD Rank 320 asking in chat, how much louder will the Viasat launch be opposed to the typical Starlink launch? Well, Max, do we know if it will actually be louder? How is the audio differences between Falcon 9 and Atlas V?
It's actually pretty stark. For one, Falcon 9 obviously just has its 9 liquid-fueled Merlin 1Ds with the RP-1 and liquid oxygen, and the Atlas V, of course, has a singular RD-180, also running on RP-1 and LOX, but also can have up to 5 solid rocket motors. And in this case, it is an Atlas 551, so it has the 5-meter payload fairing and also 5 solid rocket motors. So very two distinctive sound qualities per rocket. Falcon 9 is, I say it all the time, very, very punchy, and the sound carries very, very far. Atlas V has a lot more of a crackle to it and lacks the bass of the sound that Falcon 9 does, if that makes any sense. Whenever we hear an Atlas fly with no solids, it sounds a lot more like a jet than what we're used to with previous rocket launches. But we get that very, very, I guess, famous crackle with SRBs whenever they are on board a certain rocket, whether it be Atlas, SLS, and in previous rockets before, like the Space Shuttle and Titan 3, Titan 4, and of course also Vulcan now as well, since Vulcan can fly with up to 6. So the sound characteristics of each rocket vary, but I think to get back to the basis of the question, which is going to be louder, Falcon 9 is among one of the loudest rockets to fly from the Cape right now. Atlas V is not quiet, certainly, especially when it has five solids on it, but it is not quite as loud as Falcon 9. Although both rockets are going to be working with very similar atmospheric conditions for both of their launches tonight, so they should have, I guess, you could say, a quote-unquote equal playing field when it comes to the sound getting to our microphones this evening. So we'll have to wait and see, but Falcon 9, more often than not, is the much louder rocket.
And these two rockets, vertical right now in Florida, are not the only launches we're having this week. Of course, yesterday we had the Ariane 6 launch of Sentinel-1D from Kourou in French Guiana. And fingers crossed on Sunday, we'll have the second flight of Blue Origin's New Glenn rocket, which is absolutely huge. And yes, they are going to be attempting to land the booster for the first time. And where they're going to be landing that booster, fingers crossed, is that vessel there, Alex. Jacqueline, now departing Port Canaveral, heading out into the Atlantic, hopefully in time for Sunday's launch attempt.
Yeah, it's been tugged out by Harvey Stone, the sort of support vessel of this barge, this drone ship that, it's got actually like the official name is a bit more boring. It's Landing Platform Vessel 1. It's just nicknamed Jacqueline. I like the nickname better than the official name, to be honest. It's sort of like the drone ships, right? They are Marmac 301, 302, 303, etc., etc. So yeah, the real name it's boring. The nickname is much more exciting. That was named after Jeff Bezos' mother. So it's always better to have it after a person than some generic Landing Platform Vessel 1. You know what I mean? But yeah, already going out there, because it's got to be ready for November 9th, right? That's when it's supposed to launch. So that is about 4 days, less than 4 days to get there to the landing zone for that booster. So of course, it needs to leave Port Canaveral now.
Indeed, and off it goes. Max, very quickly, whilst you were answering the previous auditory question, JS Web Productions actually asked another one. They're asking, do we get the squeal off the VAB from the Atlas V launch like we do for the Falcon 9 launches?
I believe we should, because 41 is at a similar angle to the VAB compared to Slick 40, although at a much shallower angle. So we might not get as much squeal, but the SRBs do certainly have some bass to them, albeit not like Falcon 9. So I think we should get something, depending on if our microphone is in the right spot or not. But I don't think it is going to be what we normally get for either a landing at LZ1 and LZ2 with these sonic booms, or a launch from Slick 40. So I guess we'll find out, but I want to say we will.
There's only one way to find out. That's to stay tuned to the live stream, because of course we will not only have, fingers crossed, that Starlink launch in 32 minutes time, but a Atlas V launch in 2 hours and 24 minutes time.
Well, speaking of finding out, I think we're finding out now the confirmation that they are indeed loading propellant on Falcon 9.
I see frost.
Yep. And thanks to these crystal clear views, these rare for Florida crystal clear views at ground level across the water, there we go. We can see just a little bit of vapor on the side of the booster, confirming that liquid oxygen load is indeed underway on the first stage booster. So there we go, that T0 time in 31 minutes and... I nearly timed that really well for 31 minutes and 31 seconds. But that time is now locked in, Alex, isn't it? Because SpaceX, they need to... They call it load and go, don't they? They want to make sure that these propellants are as dense as possible to extract all that performance.
Exactly. I can probably go slightly more in detail there, because we have also the Atlas V, so we can compare a little bit the operations of both rockets. Right now, they are chilling down the lines to start the propellant load on Atlas V, right? And you may notice that it's a very long process, and it also has a built-in hold in the countdown, where, after the propellant load is complete, they hold the count, they stop for about 30 minutes, and then they resume the terminal count at the T-4 minute mark, where, there's like a gazillion things going on all at once, boo, 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 it's this sort of automated process. There's a bunch of things going on there in those last 4 minutes. Falcon 9, on the other hand, it's now undergoing propellant load. First, they load kerosene on both stages, on the second stage and the first stage, as well as the liquid oxygen on the first stage. Then later in the countdown, they're going to be loading the liquid oxygen on the second stage. They do that sort of, staggered way of loading propellant on the second stage. But both the liquid oxygen and the kerosene, they are subcooled. Technically, the kerosene is not. It's just chilled down a little bit more to sort of like -7 degrees Celsius or about 20 degrees Fahrenheit. In the case of the liquid oxygen, normally its boiling point is around minus 180 degrees Celsius. They chill it down around minus 200 degrees Celsius, about 20 degrees colder. And they do that because it becomes denser, and becoming denser means that you can pack more mass of the same thing in the same volume, right? That's the whole thing of the relationship on density and whatnot. And at the end of the day, what you're sort of doing is as if you take a plane and you're able to pack more of the fuel in the same amount of wing tank, for example, or center tank, or whatever part of the plane, right? If you can fit more of it in some way, then that means you have more range. In the case of a rocket, you have more payload capability. And so that's what Falcon 9 does to be able to have enough performance to return the booster for landing. In the case of Atlas V, it's completely expendable. They don't need any of that. And so they just go old style. Both liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen are at boiling temperature. And then the RP1 is at ambient temperature. So they don't use any of that. When they are topped off, when the tanks are completed and fully loaded, what they do is this thing that it's called established replenishment, where they are constantly topped off to keep them in check, because they boil off, of course, as I just said, it's at their boiling point. So they boil off, they have to vent that out, and they lose that performance if they just, keep boiling it off. So what they do is they keep replenishing it. So yeah, that's sort of the difference there in procedures, if you will, because I know some people might be wondering about that, and I thought it was important to clear that out.
It's certainly very interesting indeed. If I'm not mistaken, they even loaded the kerosene yesterday evening, or like finished loading the kerosene yesterday on Atlas V. So the fact that SpaceX has started loading kerosene on their rocket 7 minutes ago, and it's going to launch 2 hours before the Atlas V, I just find that rather amusing.
Yeah.
Let's have a look through here. Max, we were talking about this yesterday on the rollout stream, but Gabriel GG with a great question. They're asking, when was the last time that the Space Coast got really busy with space activities? And to be completely honest, we really haven't seen anything like this since the 1960s, really, have we?
Yeah, I mean, that was back when the Cape was known, but was actually better known as Missile Row, because there were so many more active pads than what is currently active now, or at least also being built now. There are still many pads in areas over on the Cape side that are either not spoken for or just left abandoned from what they used to be. Whether it be the old Thor Able pads, Delta 2 is both pads for Delta 2, at least their area is still not accounted for. I believe LC-19 and LC-20, even though LC-20 is for Firefly, nothing is really built substantially there, at least at this point. So there are a lot of pads that are still have yet to be accounted for, or at least in this modern age. But that being said, there are also many others that are currently active and undergoing active construction for future launch activities, like LC-14 and 16, both with Stoke and Relativity. Of course, we also have LC-36, which is where New Glenn will hopefully be launching from this weekend. Then, of course, we have Slick 37, which used to launch the Delta 4 family, most recently Delta 4 Heavy, launching for the last time in, I believe it was April of last year. Then, of course, we have Space Launch Complex 40, which is what you are looking at right now on your screen, supporting Falcon 9. Then 41 with Atlas V and Vulcan. Then you have 39A at the Kennedy Space Center for Falcon 9, Falcon Heavy, and hopefully Starship next year. And then LC-39B with the Space Launch System. And also, Slick 37 will also be supporting Starship in the future as well. So we haven't seen activity on this scale in literally decades, Ryan, as you were saying. It has been a very long time. And we didn't have a double header again for the first time until 2022. It was, oh gosh, what was it? I believe it was the Spurs 6 mission. I think it was the last Atlas V to launch with the 4-meter payload fairing very early in the morning, and then there was a Falcon 9 mission later in the afternoon, and that was the first doubleheader we had seen here, and I want to say 40 or 50 years. I can't remember the exact period or the exact time right now, but it was multiple decades, and this is already, I think, our fourth doubleheader just in 2025 alone. So, yeah, activity is ramping up rapidly, and hopefully it'll be even busier next year and the year after that. So, very, very exciting times ahead.
I can't believe you skipped the concrete slab, which is Launch Complex 48, between Slick 40 and 39A, Max. How could you do that? The poor concrete slab,
Well, yes.
Max. Obviously, the two launch pads we are most interested in this evening is Slick 40 and Slick 41. And speaking of those two launch pads, many people in chat have been asking this question, but I'm going to pick this one specifically because the username is literally at Slick 40, which is excellent. Alex, how far apart are Slick 40 and Slick 41? They are, of course, neighboring launch pads.
Yep. So they are about 1.5 miles away from each other. Not very far away, right? But it's a bit under 3 kilometers, 2.5 kilometers, 1.5 miles, so to speak. So yeah, they are relatively close to each other, these two rockets. In fact, the irony with this shot is that if you were to actually be at the press site, it will be the opposite. You will have Atlas on the left and Slick 40 with Falcon 9 on the right. But yeah.
Jay, we need you to fix the layout, please. Can you swap them the other way around?
Yeah, slide. Let's do a change.
Yeah, no, that's still not right. There we go. There we go, Jay.
Okay, there we go. There we go. That's a little bit better.
There we go. Physically accurate side-by-side boxes for you on the NSF live stream, ladies and gentlemen. And I've also just been informed by Jay that the liquid oxygen is loading on the Centaur upper stage. That's, of course, on the Atlas V. ULA confirming that. Look at this. SpaceX, take note. ULA, they provide a live blog on their website with live updates. Just saying, SpaceX, just saying. It would be great to have this for the Falcons as well. Just saying.
I don't like the fact that they talk about it in gallons, because the important thing is not the volume, is the mass when you burn propellant.
Yeah, that is an interesting point, because literally nobody knows what a gallon is. Swiftly moving on before Max cuts me off. Let's see what else we've got to cover here. In fact, I'll go over some support here. We've got an anonymous store message, but thank you nonetheless. Let's see what they got. They got the 27 Merlins print of Falcon Heavy. Very pretty print indeed. They're saying, I miss Falcon Heavy. Also, any ideas why B1072 was only launched once over a year ago? Alex, do we know why B1072 has been sitting around?
Well, I'm going to say what I can say, which is I have no idea. But there's probably a reason. So, for example, its partner in crime, if you will, was B1086 on that mission. And that one in particular was converted back from a Falcon Heavy sidecore to a Falcon 9 booster. Unfortunately, they lost it earlier this year. And so this is one of those things that it's like, well, what's going to happen then with B1072? What are they going to be doing with it? We really don't know. It flew GOES-U, as you said, right? It was the side booster of a Falcon Heavy mission, and it's really being unknown for a while. And sometimes when that happens, it means that it's probably have been reserved for other mission. We just don't know what kind of mission, right? B1076, for example, was another booster that was recently reserved for a long, long time, right? It had not launched since February, and then recently was expended on the SpaceX NG2 mission. And so that is probably what is happening here, that it's probably being reserved maybe as a Falcon Heavy side booster on another mission. And Falcon Heavy, it's going to be a while until it launches again, probably another couple of quarters, maybe half a year or so, until, I mean, it's the same, couple of quarters and half a year, but you know what I mean, right? That it's probably going to be a bit until it launches again. So it's probably just in storage somewhere, waiting to be launched again.
6 of one, half a dozen of the other, I think the saying goes. Get it? Because it's 6, and 6 months is half a year. And it's, yeah, thanks.
Sure,
Thanks.
half a dozen, sure.
Yep, brilliant. Anyways, Apocalypse Cow, thank you for the $10 super chat. They're saying a bit late for the broadcast tonight. If it hasn't already been covered, can you remind us the differences between T- and L- time schemes? Alex, you did do a wonderful explanation earlier, but as the T- 20-minute vent starts to flow from the strongback here, if you could just give us a brief reminder of the differences between T- and L- clocks for those just joining us.
Yeah, so as I usually say, the L clock just tells you the time to launch, right? How long until launch? So you can see there our clock there for Viasat. It says 2 hours, 12 minutes, 35 seconds to launch. The T- clock for how ULA uses it for Atlas V is just a procedural clock. It just counts down to different events in the countdown. It is not fixed to the actual time, right? And so that's the whole deal. For Falcon 9, SpaceX uses T- just like if it were L- clock. They just don't care. Fun fact, back in the day, Falcon 9 had a similar countdown to Atlas. So back in, and when I say back in the day, like the first 19 launches, so it was a long time ago. But it was just 10 years ago. It was not that far back. So 10 years ago, Falcon 9 had a very similar countdown where they had built-in holds. So they had a T clock and an L clock. And so the same thing happened. And when they held the countdown for the T clock, then that meant they were going to one step in the countdown on another step or something like that. They usually used to hold the count precisely for that. Same deal happens with Atlas. Now it's counting down. Now that T clock is running, but there will be a point at T minus 4 minutes, which will be L minus 34 minutes, when that clock stops again. And then it's held there for 30 minutes until both L clock and T clock synchronize together at T minus 4 minutes, and then it starts running again for the terminal count. So yeah, that's essentially what's happening. It's just two ways of counting time, one based on events and one based on real time.
And Max, this beautiful vent here is providing, or essentially acting as a brilliant windsock to showcase how the weather currently is. If you could also give us a reminder of the current weather conditions, because it looks like there's barely, almost no wind. It's pretty spectacular.
Yeah, the air is basically stagnant right now, and that is pretty evident by how the vent coming out of the TE is behaving. It's just falling straight to the ground, and that actually reflects the forecast from the 45th Weather Squadron actually very well, because the weather for tonight is essentially as good as it can get. There is on the forecast from the 45th Weather Squadron based at the Patrick Space Force Base, there is a less than 5% chance of a weather-related violation, which literally is as good as it can get unless we are at a 0% chance, which I don't think has ever happened. It may have happened like once or twice, but a less than 5% chance is really as good as it can get. And in terms of the risk criteria with the upper level winds, booster recovery, and solar, all very low as well. The sky is very clear. There are some clouds to the northeast here a bit, but Falcon 9 is flying southeast tonight, so that will not be a problem so long as they stay where they are. And of course, we have a full moon above our heads as well, so conditions are absolutely beautiful tonight. And the turn basin out here, the water is like glass. It's absolutely still. It's wonderful. And also the clarity hopefully is also coming through on our cameras, because there is very little atmospheric distortion between us and the rocket over at Slick 40, as you can hopefully tell by the cameras. You really could not ask for but better weather conditions than what we have tonight. For Atlas, the weather, I guess, by technicality, is a bit of a downgrade, because as opposed to being a less than 5% chance of a weather-related violation, it's only a 5% chance. So, yeah, I know it is technically a downgrade. It is technically a downgrade, but also Atlas has about a 44-minute window, I believe it is. So things are looking really good. I guess TLDR is the answer.
And with that vent now wrapping up, Alex, I believe that now means the liquid oxygen should now be also loading on the second stage.
Yeah, it's ironic because both rockets are undergoing propellant load operations. It's just that, by the time one launches, the other one would still be undergoing propellant load operations because of, the different timings and everything. And the length of time and everything. You know what I mean.
Indeed. Also, thanks to Thomas C for the supporters there, talking about the Blue Origin Jacqueline barge, which we covered a moment ago. Okay, let's have a look through here. Max, we've got another great question here about capturing this launch. Jackero is asking, do you know anyone, or are you attempting to do a streak shot of both rockets?
I am not attempting to do a streak for Falcon, although I really could because I have a 24-70 in my car that I'm not currently utilizing. But for Atlas, I do actually have a camera stationed off-site somewhere at a spot that I will not disclose, and hopefully that will fire by itself and get a streak shot of Atlas as well. Because we haven't had an Atlas V fly at night in about 3 years. I actually cannot recall what the last one was. The first one that comes to mind is Lucy, but I don't think that's right. Yeah, it's been a minute, and so I am going for a streak shot with Atlas. Hopefully that comes out. I have hand warmers on it because it is actually pretty moist out here tonight, and the dew point is rather high compared to what it is normally. So don't want any dew on cameras. That is very bad news for anyone who has a camera out. So yes for Atlas, maybe for Falcon. I mean, I was going to do some tight in stills on Falcon, but I guess I could swap to a 24-70 and do it. Because again, we are flying southeast tonight for the first time in many months. Normally that is a fall and winter thing, and then they go back to a northeast flight path in the spring and summer. So I could do Falcon, and I am doing Atlas. Well, hopefully if everything works out. So very long-winded answer for you. I hope that was I hope that was good.
Well, we wish your off-site camera the best in getting that streak shot of Atlas V later this evening. Again, for those of you just joining us, it's a double-header night at the Space Coast. We have 2 rockets from 2 providers from 2 launch pads at 2 different times, pretty much 2 hours apart, lots of 2s. We've got Starlink 681, currently scheduled to lift off in 13 minutes' time, and Viasat-3 F2 on an Atlas V from Slick 41, just on the neighbouring pad, which is currently scheduled to lift off in 2 hours, 6 minutes and change there. So very exciting evening on the Space Coast. Very exciting week as well. Of course, we had the Ariane 6 launch yesterday. We had an Indian launch just before that as well. We've got New Glenn at the weekend. All the rocket action is happening this week. It feels like we've been waiting all year for these exciting launches to take place, and then suddenly the first week of November, they're like, oh, let's do all the launches now. So we're having launch after launch after launch.
I believe there's actually a saying for that, Ryan.
What is the saying for that?
Remember, the 5th of November.
Oh, that for him, I mean.
There's been fireworks outside my window all evening, but luckily it has gone past midnight, so everyone else apart from me has gone to bed, rightly so in this part of the world. But yeah, it is of course Guy Fawkes Night in the UK. Good reference, Max.
I try.
Chris B boasting in the back channel that Guy Fawkes was from York. I'm not sure that would be the kind of thing I would be boasting about, having similarities with
wow
kind of person. Anyways, swiftly moving on, because this is a live stream about space launch rockets. Let's see what other questions we have in chat. Okay, we've got a couple minutes here. I'll go around everybody. Resisto Jet is asking, what do you prefer, a Falcon 9 launch or an Atlas V launch? If you had to choose, Alex, let's start with you. Which do you prefer?
I mean, I could just go to a double header, right? And I can get both. Why choose?
Oh,
I can get both.
Oh wait, I think that's happening tonight.
Yeah, right. So why choose? Yeah. Hang on, let me get my point-to-point travel here. I'm gonna go there and watch the launch.
And then they'll both S-word because you're here.
Any preference, Max, or are you also a double header fan?
Well, I think if you're not a double header fan, you shouldn't be watching. Oh God, that's like trying to choose between your own children. I mean, we see Falcon 9 fly a lot. It is a bit like plane spotting now at times, especially for as often as they fly Starlink missions. And Atlas V is becoming an increasingly rare beast because I believe this is actually the last non-Kuiper and non-Starliner assigned Atlas V, and this is also going to be the last Atlas V rocket to go beyond low Earth orbit, which is kind of weird to say that Atlas's lifespan is coming to a close gradually.
It's a Leo rocket.
Yeah. Wait, what?
It's a Leo rocket. It's a low Earth orbit rocket. It's
it
high
is.
energy.
Yeah, right. So I think for the more, oh gosh, it is a lot more special to photograph Atlas because it flies a lot less often than Falcon 9 does. But when you have an opportunity to shoot Falcon 9 to Falcon 9 up close, you certainly take it. So I'm going to go ahead and say both. And obviously, we are going to have a chance to get both tonight because we have a double header on our hands.
Of course. I'm leaning 60-40 towards Atlas. I'm sorry, but it's a rare beast these days, and it's always nice to just, it's nice to see something using the plane spotting analogy. If a 747 flies over, it just gives you the feels, I kind of get the same thing with an Atlas V just because it's on the way out. So I will say, nothing against Falcon, but I am leaning towards an Atlas V. And something else I am leaning towards is shop.nasaspaceflight.com, because this week we just had a brand new merch drop available to you all, the NSF World Tour Collection. Because if you were previously unaware, NSF does a lot of live streams from a lot of locations. We, of course, have our regular live streams from the Cape, but we've also live streamed from Starbase, of course, Starbase Live 24/7, and all the Starship launches. We've streamed from California. There's the list. We've streamed from California. We've streamed from Wallops. We've streamed from Andorra, Norway with ESA Aerospace. We've streamed from West Texas for the Blue Origin launches. We've streamed from McGregor, of course. We streamed from Truth or Consequences and Mojave for the Virgin Galactic flights and the Strato launch flights. We streamed from Kourou. Chris G went down to Kourou for the James Webb Space Telescope. We've streamed from Kodiak with Astra. We've streamed from Promontory for the Bowl booster. And we've also streamed all across North America for the solar eclipse. And also, by the way, Jack Beyer interviewed Don Pettit live on the literal International Space Station. Don't forget about that earlier this year, which was absolutely incredible. Kind of, pinch yourself moment. NSF gets to interview an astronaut live whilst they are in space. Yeah, pretty cool. That available on a poster, I believe. We've got shirts. We've got hoodies as well. Loads of things if you want to get the NSF 20-year celebration anniversary collection world tour at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. Lots of different color variations. You want to get it in color or kind of monotone. Look at that. Get it on a hoodie as well. So if that tickles your fancy, brand new, available this week, just dropped, very fresh. All the things, shop.nasaspaceflight.com.
Very fresh.
And we are Indeed. And we are now under 8 minutes to go. We will continue counting. That is for Falcon. I guess I need to specify for this stream 8 minutes to go for Falcon, because of course we have 2 rockets on today's live stream. And we have another question. Apocalypse Cow, thank you very much for the $10 super chat. They're asking, full moon jellyfish potential tonight? Is that even possible for Atlas? ? Max, I think this is probably best suited to you.
I mean, the moon is certainly going to be out in full. I mean, obviously, it's a near full moon now. I think it's going to do some interesting things to the plume because, of course, Atlas V using the solid rocket motors leaves behind a smoke trail, which is rather unique because we hardly ever see that anymore unless it's Atlas, Falcon, or SLS. Maybe for Atlas, potentially for Falcon as well, because it may light up the upper stage plume a little bit more than it normally does. But for Atlas, I'm honestly not sure because the upper stage, for one, uses hydrogen and not RP1, so the exhaust trail is basically invisible and leaves behind like very, very, very small exhaust particulates compared to RP1. I think they're both going to look very interesting. I think that's the most generically specific answer I can give for both launches with a full moon.
Interesting as always. And a very quick question in here from Gary7 in chat. They're asking, what is the newest Falcon 9 booster, please? I'm going to take a quick look over at our McGregor Live 24/7 stream. And Alex, there's a Falcon 9 at the test stand in McGregor. Do we know what number that one is?
No, we don't, because they rolled it out overnight, and obviously from that distance, it's really hard to see the number. But it's got to be either B1099 or B1101 or B1102. We don't really know. But yeah, there's a new booster out there at McGregor, the latest that they have already done all of the testing and everything. That was B1100, right? So yeah, we'll see where that debuts from. As much as I wanted to debut from the East Coast, I'm thinking it might do it from the West Coast. But we'll see.
Something else we'll see, fingers crossed, is a launch in 5.5 minutes' time. Max, we're going to send you off. Good luck capturing the first of 2 launches this evening. Well, I guess maybe there's a little bit of a breather, because if you get something wrong, you can get it right on the next launch in a couple of hours' time.
Sure, we'll go with that. But it is indeed almost time, everybody. Thank you very much, and I will see y'all on the other side.
Good luck, of course. Also, good luck to DY, also in the field for us with the camera operations. 5 minutes to go, boys and girls, until Starlink 681 lifts off for this evening's first launch. Alex, what are some of the things we should be expecting to see and expect over the next 5 minutes or so up until launch?
Yeah, so Falcon 9 right now, they are preparing for the Stromback retract. That's sort of the support structure that you can see there on the left-hand side of the rocket. And first, they're going to be pressurizing the tanks. That should actually be something that should be underway right now. And then the Stromback itself will retract by, there we go, by opening the clamp at the top. That clamp arm will open, and then the Stromback will retract about 1.8 degrees away from the rocket. At the same time, right now, those 2 liquid oxygen tanks, the one on the first stage and on the second stage, will finish loading. First on the first stage at around T-3 minutes, and then the second stage at T-2 minutes. Around T-1 minute, the ground computers will hand over control of the count to the onboard computers on Falcon 9. That's what's called startup on the countdown. And then hopefully a few seconds later, we'll have the go for launch from the launch director. Also, between the propellant load complete portion of the count and that startup call, we'll also have the clearance of all of the lines ahead of liftoff. So we'll see the comeback of that vent on the Stromback. We'll have gas closeouts being called out on the countdown. So lots of things are going to be happening here in just 3 minutes and less than 20 seconds now.
Continuing to count down. And we can see some of those final vents, final little puffs of vapor ongoing. All expected, of course, as Falcon 9 continues to count down and get ready for launch very soon.
Because as Falcon 9... Yeah, as stage 1 LUX load is complete on Falcon 9, Atlas V's first stage is now receiving liquid oxygen. So we have 2 rockets that are not going to only be launching very close to each other in space and time, but also they're getting their propellants very close in space and time. So it's really cool to see these double operations at the Space Coast.
Has the Centaur been receiving hydrogen yet? I don't know.
I believe not yet. They are preparing for that.
Shame.
Yeah,
because there would have been the potential of 2 rockets having both their fuel and oxidizer for both stages at the same time. Like, theoretically, they could have lit their engines, right? They would have had the propellant to light their engines at the same time. That would have been, that would have been icing on the cake. But either way, at least that's the booster and the for the Atlas V, which is
Wouldn't
getting
it be
its
frosting on the cake because it's cold and frost. Anyways, 2 minutes to launch of the Falcon 9. I had to sneak that pun in.
Load is complete.
And there we go, the call out there for the second stage. Alex filling in for Sawyer. Sawyer's actually going to be on the stream later, by the way, everybody, for the Atlas V part of the stream. So Alex filling in for Sawyer for the Starlink part of the stream.
A friendly reminder that after this Falcon 9 launch happens, you got to stick around because we're also going to cover the Atlas V. So just saying.
Of course. Now, 1.5 minutes to go. In about 20 seconds' time, the Falcon 9 will switch into its autonomous mode and will take control of the countdown. You can see that final vent out there. And again, a brilliant indication of just how still the air is this evening. There is barely any wind. We are at essentially 99% go in terms of weather. 60 seconds to run now. In the countdown, everything looking good. Let's stand by for the call out from SpaceX.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
There we go. Falcon 9 now in control of the count under its own internal computers. And we will stand by for the next call from the launch director.
Go for launch.
And that is what we want to hear. SpaceX, go for launch. So fingers crossed, in 30 seconds' time, we will see those 9 Merlin 1D engines igniting. And, of course, the huge steam plume rising from the water deluge system to capture all of that, or disperse all of that acoustic energy. Under 20 seconds to go now. Stand by. Keep your eyes at the base of the vehicle, where we should be seeing ignition any moment now. Under 10 seconds to go for this southeast launch from Cape Canaveral. There is ignition, and that is a liftoff. Starlink Group 681 off and away from Space Launch Complex 40 for the first launch of the night. Go Starlink satellites, go. "70 seconds into flight, that Carolox crackle is rippling its way across the Floridian landscape. We're passing through max Q right now, the period of maximum aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle. Absolutely spectacular nighttime views out of the Space Coast, and we also heard that beautiful VAB squeal as well. Oh, and look at this side-on view, I believe from Wade, Dr. WD40 on Twitch, joining us for today's launch. Oh, absolutely beautiful. As you can see, that plume now start to expand in the upper atmosphere from red to orange to white to blue. Oh my goodness, you can even see the payload fairings being lit up by the exhaust as well as Falcon 9 continues up into space.
Yeah, the southeast launches really give us a really good view, side-on view of the rocket from south of the launch site. So it's really, really cool. Look at that.
2 minutes into flight, the main engine should be cutting off very shortly in about 20 seconds time, and you can see that plume getting longer and longer also. Not only does it expand, but it gets longer as well. We can see on the left from Wade, a little bit more southern location, on the right from the press site, essentially looking kind of square on with the rocket, and it looks like that main engine is now cutting off on the Falcon 9 booster.
There we go. Should see that airbag ignition very shortly.
Fingers crossed we can keep the track. And I believe there it is. There is the ignition of the Merlin 1D vacuum. Heading into space with the second stage and 29 Starlink V2 mini satellites. And I think we can also see a little bit of venting there from the first stage booster, perhaps. It's quite difficult to tell.
Yeah, probably. We may see also the fairing separation. It should be coming up in just a few seconds.
Hopefully they'll reflect a little bit of the moonlight, maybe give us a little bit of a glimpse at the fairings. We'll just have to wait and see. Those deploy at 2 minutes and 57 seconds, so they should have deployed about 10 seconds ago. Doesn't look like we can see them, unfortunately, but Falcon 9 continuing.
We'll have no luck.
On its way.
There we go.
But there we go. We can see the satellites for a brief moment there from the onboard views exposed to the vacuum of space for the first time as the second stage now passes 100 kilometers in altitude. The Falcon 9 booster now transitioning over as it prepares for its landing, and a beautiful moon jellyfish here of the second stage almost. And you can see the exhaust expanding really, really far out wide compared to how tight the atmosphere packed it in when it launched just 3 and a bit minutes ago.
That's so cool.
Approaching
rather
4
hot,
minutes
I
into
guess.
flight. Yep, kind of. Is that a fairing that's traveling alongside? Oh, there's a dot to the left of the second stage, and it's traveling at the same kind of trajectory of the second stage. It's not a star, because the stars are moving from the bottom to the top of the frame. I think that might be a fairing being
there was
reflecting the
another
light
one.
of the engine, the exhaust.
Yeah, there was another one also sort of above, so it might be the both of the fairing halves. being visible. Yeah, that's
That
cool.
is really, really cool.
And those are also reusable. They're going to be parachuting down to the ocean and will be recovered by fairing recovery vessel Bob.
Those fairings, of course, the two kind of clamshell-shaped aerodynamic protective nose cone pieces at the top of the rocket. Once you're outside of those thickest parts of the atmosphere, you don't need to protect the satellites anymore, and they're just added mass, so they deploy them and make their way back down to Earth for recovery and reuse. That is what SpaceX is all about, of course, bringing down costs by reusing as much or as many components as possible. As we continue to track that second stage, in terms of the first stage, however, in about a minute's time, we should see the entry burn beginning for the booster as it fights fire with fire and protects itself from the heat of re-entry back into Earth's atmosphere. Looks like it's just past apogee, Alex, now descending back through 100 kilometers.
Yep. The booster essentially just goes up because of its own momentum, right? It stops thrusting, but it still carries some velocity. And so it continues that sort of almost parabolic path, and then it reaches an apogee, that highest point in its trajectory, and then it comes back down for that entry burn. You can see there on the timeline. We're getting very close to that. It's going to ignite first the center engine, then 2 of the outer engines will ignite, and those 3 will be burning for about 20 seconds to slow down and protect itself against the forces of re-entry.
About 30 seconds left to run until we see those engines igniting. Keep an eye on the little graphic that should be coming up momentarily to show those engines. And there it is. We should stand by. There's 1 engine, and there is 3 engines. A little bit of an overexposed camera on the booster there, but we can see those engines burning on the Falcon 9 booster as it slows itself down through 50 kilometers in altitude.
Supersonic retropropulsion.
One of the coolest words in the English language, in my opinion, supersonic retropropulsion. I guess 2 words. Combination of words?
I guess, yeah, sure. And now here comes the steering. The booster goes from that entry burn, and now it starts using its grid fins as it goes through the thickest parts of the atmosphere to steer itself and fight against that aerodynamic forces, because, you know, it's now slowing down and just using the air to slow down.
Indeed, just over a minute to go until landing, and as the booster falls through the thicker parts of the atmosphere, now you can see under 18 kilometers in altitude, those grid fins really start to bite the air. They become a lot more effective because there's more air rushing through them because the atmosphere is much more dense. Looks like we've got a little bit of a lost telemetry right now with the booster. Fingers crossed that comes back momentarily. These things,
Yeah, it happens.
These things happen every now and then, but we are still hearing the call-outs from SpaceX, of course. So we will stand by to see if we get any views. Maybe we'll have a live view from the drone ship in about 20 seconds time, but we'll just be very patient. Don't worry, everybody, but we'll just be very patient because these things do happen from time to time and they don't always mean it's the end of the world. So we will keep an eye and wait for that telemetry to return from the booster.
Yeah, as a reminder, Falcon 9, it carries Starlink satellites, but it doesn't carry Starlink antennas. There we go. The speed is now updating, the altitude as well. And the updating is very smooth. So you can see there, it is now updating. Should be underway. Oh, there we go. That landing burn is now proceeding. Here comes the drone ship.
Should see the landing gear. There it goes. And that looks like a smooth bullseye touchdown on just read the instructions. And it's vertical. Oh, that's a very cool shot as the dust clears, being lit up by the lights there on the deck of the drone ship. That is B-1094 back on the ground. Technically at sea, but back on the ground, completing its 5th flight successfully. We now look to the right picture. That is the second stage engine cutting off. And we're looking up through the interstage on the drone ship.
That was nice. Yeah.
I don't think have we ever seen that before? I don't recall ever seeing that view before.
After landing, I don't recall. But yeah, we have there a good orbit for the second stage. We could also see there on the drone ship that deluge system that they have integrated on Just Read the Instructions. It's always cool to see those little upgrades that was sort of introduced last year so that it's less refurbishment, because they blast that thing with rocket engine exhaust many times.
9.5 minutes later, the launch pad is empty. But there's another launch pad with a rocket on it. Of course, Slick 41 has the Atlas V vertical and is underway with its propellant load. So don't go anywhere, everybody, because we have another launch coming up this evening. One of 2 completed, at least to its parking orbit so far. And we can even see some venting there from Slick 41 we can also see the flare stack as well in the bottom right. If you look, there's the flare stack there as well. That's for the hydrogen, right, Alex? They burn off the excess hydrogen.
Yep.
So, yeah.
The second stage, the centaur upper stage, uses hydrogen as the fuel, and that is quite a hazard if you don't get rid of that.
As proven many times before, through many different processes, indeed, you want to make sure you can disperse of that as safely as possible. But in terms of the in-person experience, Max Evans is back with us. How was one of 2 launches so far, Max? How was that from your perspective?
Well, we have 1 down, 1 to go, and that was a great start, certainly. Yeah, magnificent, I do have to say. Magnificently clear skies. We have a magnificent moon above us, and there's only some high-altitude wispies now above us. And also the cons that Falcon 9 left as well, and the exhaust cloud that it created on the launch pad now as well is in the sky. And those are about the only clouds that I can see, at least to the southeast where it launched. That was beautiful. The sound carried... The sound carried very well. The ground was lit beautifully by the full moon, and we tracked it all the way. I don't know if Jay showed it on stream, but I was actually able to see the entry burn as well, just over the tree line here at the KSC press site. Beautiful. Yeah, that was. I've said it already. It was magnificent. Also, we got the full experience with the upset alligators afterwards as well, because I heard 3 separate ones growling afterwards, as they normally do, because they're not very happy about the noise, certainly as often as they get it. And there was one, I have to say, maybe 100 feet off to my left, just over and off the edge of the grass here in the turn base, and it was very close. It's probably on the local recording. I'll have to pull that at some point and have it sent out. But magnificent. It was just a classic Falcon 9 launch on an absolutely beautiful evening. And that is only one part of the show. We still have 1 more left to go.
Indeed. We will be covering the launch of Atlas V in 1 hour and 40 minutes. But in the meantime, I think we can go through a little bit of support we got during the flight. First of all, Anonymous with a store message. Let's see what they got. They're saying !moo, of course, for the McGregor cow. Lots of mooing McGregor cows at McGregor. Oh, they got the NSF tour shirt. There we go. We also had Thomas C. Thank you very much with the extra Canadian support there. They're saying I missed the SpaceX mission control audio streams. I think there's someone in this call who also misses the SpaceX mission control audio streams.
Me too.
Yeah, that's I've tried to convince them, just do an X Spaces. All you need is one of them USB to 3.5 millimeter audio jack cables. Plug it into mission control, because that's how it works. Just plug it in and then do an X Spaces through the phone. Yeah, come on, SpaceX. Where's the mission control audio? Come on, would be so much nicer, so much nicer. And we have Caroline WV becoming a PadRap member as well. Thank you so much for all of the support on today's stream so far. But of course, as you can see, we are now transitioning as we prepare to wait for United Launch Alliances, even. It's definitely not SpaceX's Atlas V rocket, ULA's Atlas V rocket at Slick 41 at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. And we are counting down for that stream, of course, as well. Alex, I suppose, whilst we're waiting for the Atlas V stream, we'll also get the confirmation from SpaceX on social media that the Starlink satellites will be deployed. Fingers crossed. That's how much marathon coverage we're doing today.
Yeah, so the second stage now, it's in a parking orbit. That Falcon 9 second stage should be in a roughly 130 by 270 kilometer orbit, roughly, right? And then as it sort of continues on its orbit, right? It's going to go to that highest point in its orbit, and then we'll relight that MVAC engine on the second stage just for 1 second, just a little bit, blink and you miss kind of situation. And that'll circularize their orbit for today's mission, for that Starlink mission, The target orbit is 262 by 272 kilometers in altitude. So that's where they're going to go. And then about 10 minutes later, they're going to be deploying the satellites. So about a minute after launch, those satellites should be off the rocket, and hopefully we'll get a confirmation by SpaceX that they are indeed in orbit and, deployed and whatnot. So before the Atlas V launches, Falcon 9's mission will be done for the day.
Indeed. And Max, we've got a couple questions here. First of all, ResistoJet is back in chat, and they're asking if there is a difference in the color of the exhaust between Falcon 9 and Atlas V. And I have to say, I'm going to pimp some of your prints here, because you've gotten some spectacular remotes of not only the Falcon 9 exhaust but also the Atlas V exhaust. So, I'm going to ask you a technical question. How different is it capturing the different exhausts? Because of course they're both Keralox rockets.
They are, and the exhausts also behave a lot differently as they ascend and get into thinner parts of the upper atmosphere. Falcon 9, as we've seen, obviously tonight, the exhaust goes from a deep orange down to a dark red, and then transitions into like a bluish, sometimes pink, sometimes purple, in borderline green as well, like right before MECO as well, as the exhaust begins to flower out, and you can see the individual exhaust plumes from all 9 Merlins. The exhaust changes into this extremely vibrant flower, dare I say. Whereas Atlas V, it has up to 5 solid rocket motors and, of course, the singular RD-180 with 2 nozzles, and they both burn about the same color. The SRBs also burn sometimes they can come off more white, but more often than not, on at least our imagery, they look about the same color as the exhaust from the RP1 and LOX combination as well. So, it's a tricky one, honestly, sometimes, because they're so bright. Sometimes you actually forget to set your settings accordingly, because Atlas V is brighter with the combination of the SRBs with the RD-180 compared to Falcon 9. And Falcon 9 is not it's still a very bright exhaust plume, but with the solids from Atlas, it is so much brighter. And if you're not exposed correctly, those lost details in the SRB plume are completely blown out. So they're about the same color, and Atlas V is a bit brighter. So at least off the ground, Atlas V is a bit more tricky, and also Atlas V accelerates much faster off the ground, at least when it has 5 solids. So they're about the same color, but the exhaust behaves much differently.
And speaking of that exhaust and the Falcon 9 literally lighting up the skies in Florida, we're getting replays of the launch we saw 17 minutes ago. I mean, literally, look at it rise over the tree line here from the press site. It lights up the sky. I mean, Max, there's no other way to explain it other than it's kind of like having a second moon in the sky, a very, very bright moon.
I would honestly go as far to say that it is in artificial sunrise. I mean, it is much brighter than the moon. It lights up all the landscape around you. It turns into literally a second sun, obviously nowhere near as big and bright, but it is much brighter than the moon ever will be, at least when it's full. And this angle is a perfect example. I think this is one of Dee's wides. It's so bright, as we were just talking about with the exhaust between the RP1 and the LOX on both Atlas V and Falcon. It's not safe to look at with your eyes, at least initially, because it is so bright. You can actually do some damage. So look off to either the side of the plume or the bottom of the plume. Don't look directly at it, at least right away. When it begins to get dimmer and change color up top, obviously it's okay to look at that point. But it is very, very, very bright nonetheless.
And another field question for you here, Max. We have a super chat from Ebrav. Thank you very much for the support. They're saying that they're coming to Florida to watch Escapade New Glenn on Sunday. They're asking, what is the best place to watch Cars Park ? I think Cars Park won't be open to the public. Am I mistaken?
No, you are correct there. Cars Park has announced that they will not be open to general public viewing when it comes to Escapade and New Glenn second flight. So unfortunately, Cars Park is off the list. But what you can do, and what is easily accessible, is the beaches all along Cape Canaveral. So anywhere from Sherry Down Park going all the way down to Cocoa Beach, and also Jetty Park may be open as well. I think they should be. It's daytime. They should be. So anywhere along the beach there is a lot less difficult to get to compared to Jetty Park, because obviously you have the pier, and there is going to be certainly a lot of people wanting to watch from there. So anywhere along the beach between the Cocoa Beach Pier and Sherry Down Park is going to be a great view. So I think that is going to be where I would say you should go.
And of course, it's a daylight launch. So if anyone needs convincing, if
Yes.
you're trying to convince anyone to say, "Hey, I want to go see the
Finally.
rocket launch," if they're like, "No, I don't. Why do you want to go see a rocket launch? We don't need to go see a rocket launch." Change the language. You want to go to the beach for the day? It's a wonderful afternoon on the beach. You get a New Glenn launch as well. Oh, what a coincidence! What a coincidence!
The all-in-one package.
Exactly. And if you time it right, you might even be able to watch a rocket launch whilst swimming in the sea. I mean, just saying, it's a very valid option in Florida.
Depending where
Yes,
you
some
are,
of-
you may actually see a landing too.
Well, I'm hoping people don't swim that far out. But yeah, we
or in certain areas that might be too close to landing zones.
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've seen more replays on the left-hand side of the Starlink launch that just happened. More tracking views of the rocket heading downrange. That live view on the right, of course, of that Atlas V X-41, scheduled to launch just over 90 minutes from now. And speaking of Atlas V, Zolevus, sorry if I said your name incorrectly, they're asking how many Atlas Vs are left until its retirement. And Alex, this is going to be the last non-Kuiper, non-Starliner Atlas V launch, so it's not that many.
Yeah, after this, there'll only be 11. So, they had a contract with Boeing to launch 2 demo missions of Starliner and 6 operational missions, right? Those 2 demo missions, they already got that out of the way. That was the uncrewed demo, although it was 2 uncrewed demos, but the first one happened when they were still producing Atlas Vs, so they were able to just produce another extra Atlas to compensate for that. But yeah, so there will be 6 remaining Atlas Vs that will be sort of earmarked for Starliner. And then with Kuiper, they had a contract for 9 launches, but they have already done. So they did a prototype flight of Kuiper satellites way back, like I think 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember exactly, but it was a while ago, and that sort of removed 1 from the list, right? And then they also have done another 3 other missions as well. So that leaves only 5 Kuiper missions left. So you have 6 Starliners plus 5 Kuiper. That's 11 missions, plus the one that you see there on the right-hand side, the Viasat-3 F2 satellite, which is just a little bit over 90 minutes to go for that launch.
And of course, a beautiful replay of the side-on angle. Max, thank you so much for joining us for the first part of today's stream for the Starlink launch. You're now going to go and get ready for the Atlas launch in just over 90 minutes time. Again, thank you very much for joining us, Max.
It has been a pleasure as always, everybody. And I'm not going anywhere. I'll be right back. I'll be here for Atlas V as well, but you will have a different voice for that one. So just going to pack up this camera and move a bit up to the a different location here at the press site to get a better angle of Slick 41, and hopefully give everyone a great view of that as well. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming to hang out tonight, and we will see you again very soon.
I don't know if I'm allowed to leak this or not, but what I will say is one of the voices on the Atlas portion of the stream coming up later, their name starts with D and rhymes with Atlas. So I'll let you decipher that one how you will. But yeah, of course, we have the full field team pretty much out in
But it
force.
was J, and it was no way.
What?
Never mind. I was making a joke. You'll see later. I'll tell you later.
Okay. I'm sitting here oblivious. Like I'm just gonna talk about the. Oh, okay. I get it now. Thanks for telling me in the back channel, Alex. Anyways, there's pictures from our field team. One of them from Max. There you go. Liftoff shot from the press site there. And I think we also have another picture. A beautiful streak shot here from Sawyer, who is going to be one of the people joining us for the Atlas V launch a little bit later on. I'm not sure if we have another picture or if that is... Oh, we do have another picture. We have a picture from Wade. Beautiful cube zoom.
What's
To
that?
the picture
Oh
from
my
Wade
goodness.
here. Yes, we love the cube zoom transition here at NSF. That is a company-sanctioned cube zoom transition. No, it's not, just kidding. But there you go. 3 wonderful photos of this launch. First of 2 launches this evening. Because as we keep saying, it is a double header this evening on the Space Coast. 1 of 2 launches complete. The next Viasat-3 F2 on board that Atlas V with 5 solid rocket boosters, the big 5-meter fairing, 1 RL-10 on the Centaur upper stage, and venting continuing there. Alex, as we approach to take a brief pause until the Atlas V action starts ramping up, would you just like to take us through some of the progress ULA has been making towards this launch whilst we've been focusing on the Falcon 9 launch?
Yeah, propellant load continues on Atlas V. They have completely loaded the liquid oxygen tank on the Centaur upper stage. They are about half full on the first stage on the Atlas V, and then they are roughly sort of in the process of getting with the liquid hydrogen load on the Centaur upper stage. At the same time, they are chilling down the RL-10 engine on the upper stage, on that Centaur upper stage. They're flowing a little bit of liquid nitrogen through the engine to chill down both the oxygen and the hydrogen pumps. The funny thing about that engine is that it actually gets not chilled down completely to its flight temperatures because they need to be a little bit warmer than the hydrogen that they're going to be flowing through the engine so that it can actually work. That's part of how the engine works. It's this sort of expander cycle. You know, the hydrogen gets warm up, and that warming up produces a very high pressure, right, on the pumps, and that keeps them running and working. And so they chill down the engine, but not entirely to flight temperatures, because that's what keeps it running and starting up, of course. So yeah, right now, that's where they are right now. Centaur, liquid oxygen, topped off. First stage Atlas, liquid oxygen, a bit over full, a bit over half full. And then you've got the LH2, that liquid hydrogen on the second stage, on that Centaur upper stage. It should be beginning shortly.
And we will be resuming our talkie commentary in 26 minutes time. But for the time being, Alex, thank you very much for joining us for Starlink Group 6-81.
It's been a pleasure as usual, and I'll be watching that Atlas coverage.
I have to say, I will be honest, I'm going to be a little bit tired. And I'm going to go to bed. I'm not going to watch the Atlas V coverage live. But you totally should be.
You have
watching
your
it live.
phone. You can open it and sort of have it in the background.
Well, if I'm going to be asleep, then that's kind of redundant, isn't it? Because I'm not going to.
But everybody watching at home, don't tune out just yet. Like we're still here. We're not. We, the voices, are going to go away. You're going to have the music going on.
Yeah,
right?
we're gonna listen into DJ KMR for a few, or technically DJ J. DJ J. I don't know if that really works, but we're going to be playing some sweet tunes for you for the next 25 minutes or so whilst we take a quick break here on the commentary team. Of course, thank you to Jay Keegan for producing the first part of today's live stream. And my name has been Brian Caton. Thank you very much for listening to my voice, I guess. You've been listening to me and Alex a lot over the last couple of days.
You'll have other voices later after.
There's other voices,
come out.
yeah. Don't fear, there's other voices coming up in 25 minutes time. But
Exactly.
again, as Alex said, don't go anywhere. This stream is not ending. This stream is staying live. This will be live throughout the Atlas V throughout the Atlas V launch, sorry. There is another launch to come. The show's still going. Come back. Don't go away. Anyways, that's it for now. We'll be back in 20 minutes with more commentary. For now, listen into the beautiful music. And for me, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
And here we go.
We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
RS-68 chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, with planet.
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FTD off. Say again, FTD off. It's orange!
Orange 45. Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You good? We don't need any more of these.
All right, folks. How many of y'all actually remember the drill? It has been a while. But I'm here on a stream to talk about Atlas launching Viasat-3 out there tonight. My name's Das. You may have seen me around under the name John. I'll answer to either one, but my mom calls me Das, so that's what I'm used to responding to. But going to be doing some commentary for you here as we are now less than an hour away from the launch of this Atlas V. Y'all know the drill. We've got some friends here with us. Going to have some help answering some questions and stuff like that. But Ryan Weber, do we have you on comms?
Yeah, I'm here. Das, is that like Nicholas Fury, but you're just called Fury? Is that you know?
It's just one name.
Okay.
It's it's just Das.
Okay.
It makes no sense.
Just making sure there.
Don't ask why I'm called Das. It's a long story for another stream that needs a much longer countdown. But Ryan Weber will be answering some of your questions. Remember, if you have questions, tag us in chat. You can either do at NASA Spaceflight or at NSF. I think either one of those will work these days. Let's see here. Also, I believe out in the field, in the area of Cars Park, we've got Sawyer Rosenstein. Sawyer, we got you on comms?
Indeed, you do. It is a beautiful night, and we had one gorgeous liftoff already, and we have hopefully another gorgeous liftoff ahead of us. And technically, it used to be two names, Das Valdez, but anyway, let's continue.
Don't tell anybody that. They'll find my Twitch streams and they'll learn how to play Kerbal Space Program. We wouldn't want that to happen.
No,
Sawyer, thank you so much. Sawyer will be joining in and answering some questions and providing some field experience as well. And of course, we've got the team over on the Cape side. I believe D Wise might be able to say hi. D, we got you on comms?
Absolutely. It is such a gorgeous evening here. It's always a good evening for a launch, and we already had one, and we're about to have another. So, what a doubly excellent evening tonight.
Doubly excellent evening. I love it, D. Thank you so much for rolling out. And I know we don't have Max on comms, but I know Max is out there crewing some cameras as well. So that is going to be what we are doing here over the course of the stream. Like I said, you'll know how to get in touch with us. Tag us over in chat. Let us know your questions about this Atlas V communications mission here that the satellites are launched, or the satellite. I think is the right way to say it. Isn't it right if I just say satellite, Ryan Weber?
Sure. Yeah, sure. It's a single one. Yeah.
I'm so used to saying satellites with the other broadband provider who shall not be named for the next 52 minutes or whatever. I'm just used to saying satellites. But we will be watching that. Also, please don't forget the folks that press the buttons and pull the levers. Kevin Michael Reed. Did that say the Cloud Reporter? Why did it say the Cloud Reporter? Kevin Michael Reed is running the stream for us in the back end. Yeah, there we go. AKA Kevin Michael Reed. All right. Well, there he reports clouds at Starbase. Okay, well, Kevin's not on comms, but see, there's clouds right here. There's actually venting from the Atlas out on the launch pad. Of course, today's launch happening from Slick 41. It's SLC, Space Launch Complex 41, but just say Slick if you want to be a cool kid. And this is what is it? It's Viasat-3 F2. Ryan, give us a really quick rundown on what satellite is aboard this comically large fairing on top of Atlas V here.
Yeah, so it's Viasat-3 Flight 2. Flight 1 flew on what was called, the mission was called Viasat Americas on a Falcon Heavy flight back in 2023. So it's been a little bit since the next one. There's one more satellite in this chain for Viasat-3. There's three total. Basically, it's an internet satellite, like others that shall not be named at this point. However, these go into geo, so geostationary orbit rather than into low Earth orbit. And yeah, it's basically an internet satellite. So
Gotcha. What is the difference? I mean, we see so many other satellites launch. The gag will get quiet, or the gag will get old if we don't say Starlink anywhere in here. We see so many Starlink launches, but Starlinks don't go to geo, right? Starlinks go into much lower orbits, don't they?
yeah, Starlink goes into low Earth orbit in what is it? I'm gonna have to remember the all the orbital inclinations all the orbital altitudes they go into. But you're talking in the 3 to 400, 500 kilometer range, in and around there. This one is going all the way up. Let's see here. What's the orbit this thing's going into? It is going to be sent into geostationary or geotransfer orbit.
Right.
Basically, so then the satellite will take itself to the rest of it, but it's 11,674 kilometers, basically by 23,000. So it's going a lot farther out.
It's going to a much higher altitude, I guess. And if I'm not mistaken, it's a much beefier satellite. Like you see those stacks of Starlink satellites, right? And there's a whole bunch of them on top of a Falcon 9. But here we just have this one beefy satellite up on top. So going to a much higher orbit and going to and being a much fatter satellite. Can I say fatter satellite?
Sure.
Heavier, more massive. Say Fatellite. Thank you, Sawyer.
You're welcome.
Oh, good grief. Y'all can tell that we're not on the payroll for either United Launch Alliance or Viasat Comms because we just called it a Fatellite. It's a big satellite. It's not like a little small internet satellite. In any event, we just crossed under 50 minutes here, 49 minutes and 50-something seconds before we get this launch. Window-wise, though, we have a little bit of time in the window. Who wants to fill me in on, we're targeting the beginning of the window, but we have around an hour? Sawyer, do you have that information on tap?
I sure do, yes. So the window tonight opens at 10:24 p.m. Eastern Time, which that's what you see counting down in the top left of your screen right now. So that is what they are currently targeting in about 49 minutes and 20-ish seconds from now. Okay. However, if for some reason they need to push into the window does go until 11:08 p.m. Eastern Time. So about 50-ish minutes, 45.
Gotcha. So we've got a little bit of time to get this off the pad here this evening. Good to see him counting down towards that initial T0, but if it gets updated, I guess United Launch Alliance with the live update blog here will let us know first, and then we'll pass that on to y'all as soon as we get any information about the timing changing. It's pretty cool, though, because it's the second launch tonight from Cape Canaveral. Now, somebody help me out. I thought that the Space Force needed time to recuperate in between launches. I didn't think that they could support launches so quickly. Is there something special about this, or was that just an urban legend that they needed 4 or 6 hours in between launch? Ryan, do we have any information on that?
I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I think either Sawyer or D or Max out there might have more information on that because they're actually involved with that a lot more than I am.
Oh, yeah, I can hop in. I can help you out with that. Oh, go ahead, D. All yours. D, take it.
Yeah, so there's not actually a specific time that we know of, and actually the Space Force itself doesn't have a specific time. Our own Jay Keegan, who was operating the stream earlier tonight, reached out to ask about these launches are really close together. How do you support it? And is there a minimum time? And their response was basically, at this time, there isn't a specific policy, but there are a bunch of different factors that go into the decision for any specific two launches that include the type of the mission, coordination with airspace reservations, the hazard areas, making sure that the two launches aren't trying to share commodities in a way that won't work. So there are a lot of different considerations, and especially we've seen and heard about that, especially with the NASA crew missions, where NASA wanted to have a bit of time before the previous launch of like a Falcon 9 before they would have a crew launch on a Falcon 9, but there isn't a specific time from the Space Force perspective that they're locked down to as this is how close launches can be. They work it out on a case-by-case basis.
Gotcha. It's like it depends as to whether or not they can launch two things rapidly back to back like this. And I think the commodities make a lot of sense. Like they only have a certain amount of consumable in some of the shared pipelines or tanks or whatever in places where that happens. I know it doesn't happen on every pad, but I imagine there's tracking assets as well, like communications arrays and stuff like that may need to be tasked to one or the other. But here this evening, sounds like they have no trouble with the roughly 2 hours in between the launches. It does feel weird. Myers in chat over here says, even if the logistics work out, it does feels weird. I agree. It's weird to have this many or two back-to-back launches like this. We've seen it with SpaceX. Like we've seen SpaceX go like, all right, Cape Vandy, right? And sort of ping-ponging back and forth across the coast. But two different launch providers on the two different pads here, basically right next to each other, is definitely a thing out at the Cape.
So, and we just missed, by the way, by 15 minutes, just missed what would have been the record for the fastest time between launches at the same launch area, basically. So that was Gemini 11 and its Agena target vehicle. That one, there was 1 hour, 37 minutes, and 25 seconds between launches. Tonight, between Starlink and this, it's going to be around 2-ish hours because it went later in the window.
I think we need to have a chat with the Space Force. They're upgrading their systems to support rapid launches. And then let me check my notes. When was Gemini?
I believe that was 64 or 65.
How many years has it been since Gemini launched and the current standing record of back-to-back launches from the Cape?
just a few.
Just a few. All right. But folks, let's grab some questions from chat really quickly. Like we said, tag us over there. Let me see if I can grab some of your questions. I've asked enough of my questions already. I got to scroll all the way down to the bottom. This one is a little bit of a troll question, but not being on any company's payroll, we'll answer it. New Glenn watching asked, does ULA pull the solid rocket boosters from the water for potential reuse? Does anybody want to touch that with a 10-foot pole?
I mean, sure, I could take it.
There you go.
Go for it, Stoyer.
No, they don't. I mean, right now, in terms of the whole point of these vehicles was that when they designed them, especially as they upgraded everything in the 90s and so on, was that these were meant to kind of be quick and easy to produce. You get rid of them and you just build another one and move on to the next. Obviously, now in an age of reusability, that's not as great. But yeah, basically, there's no plans to reuse it. And even with the new Vulcan rocket, the main plan with Vulcan is going to be eventually to just recover the BE4 main engines on it with something called smart reuse. So less reusability even on that, but still some potentially for Vulcan, but not Atlas.
On here, this was sort of like a dial your rocket sort of setup, right? The Atlas can launch with some number of SRBs between 0 and 5, if I'm not mistaken. And it was, well, here's your payload and how big of a fairing do you need? We have options. How much extra thrust do you need or how much extra impulse do you need? We have options. We can add 1 SRB or 2 SRB or 3 SRB. So the original idea behind Atlas V was to make it... I don't know if super customizable is really the right way to say it, but to make it customizable so that you could sort of dial it in to make it, I'm using air quotes here, efficient for different types of payloads and trajectories that you'd need to go on. Contrast that with SpaceX. SpaceX Falcon 9 is SpaceX Falcon 9. Now, the customization you see in a Falcon 9 launch is, do they expend it? Does it land on a drone ship? Or does it come back? Falcon 9 has a certain amount of orbital mass that it can handle, right, to specific orbits or destinations or whatever you want to say. And in some cases, if they need to go a little bit further or carry a little bit more mass, they can expend it or they can land it on a drone ship. And if they have more margin, they can fly it back because they just didn't need that margin. So two different ways of handling these things, the Falcon 9 reusable way, the Atlas V dial-a-rocket sort of way. Atlas V's had its share of successes over the years, but clearly I think we all know SpaceX is launching on a pretty regular basis and getting those boosters back and using them again. Y'all, if I miss an update or something like that, I'm reading questions. Feel free to jump in with an update if y'all see something in the back channel that I don't see. Are we all on track right now? There's the update. The update is actually from SpaceX. It's deployment of all Starlink satellites confirmed from SpaceX.
Close enough.
We'll grab that ULA update in just a second. And yes, I saw some people in chat either saying we pronounced Gemini correctly or incorrectly. If you've heard people say Gemini, that's like saying the VAB, because it's not the VAB, it's the VAB, and it's not Gemini, it's Gemini. Little space nerd facts, I guess, right? That's like a telltale sign, isn't it, Sawyer?
Yeah, that is the official NASA pronunciation. It has been asked of them. It is in their history books and everything. It is officially, per NASA, Gemini.
Gemini, like knee, like the knights who say Gemini. In any event, I have that on the
knee.
I have that on the
right.
brain.
Then I took an arrow to the Gemini.
No, they were an arrow to the Gemini. I used to be an astronaut, but then I took an arrow to the Gemini. Thank you, Sawyer. I had shrubberies on the brain because I just did a Starbase summary video, which you'll get to see after this launch today. Here's a quick one from One Day Education. Hello from Missouri. Our kids, 3 years old and 1 year old, want to know what else is in the payload. Are they bringing any sandwiches to the astronauts? So on board the rocket today, this is not a payload mission that's going up to the International Space Station. This is an internet satellite mission. It won't go anywhere near the space station. So if they delivered a sandwich to the astronaut, it would be too cold and crusty by the time it got to the space station. They'd have to throw it out the fairing as they went through the right orbit. It just wouldn't work. They'll be delivering internet to this higher orbit that we were talking about, but unfortunately no sandwiches. Or I guess fortunately, if there were sandwiches aboard this, there's not going to be a chance for anyone to eat them anytime soon. Do appreciate you hanging out and watching the stream this evening.
What about an ice cream sandwich?
An ice cream sandwich?
It stays cold.
It would stay cold. It would like dehydrate or desiccate or boil off. I don't know if I want to see an ice cream sandwich boil off.
Yeah.
Might
Also, the
look
problem.
cool.
Also, fun fact: there are no actual bread sandwiches in space. They all use tortillas because bread creates too many crumbs, and that gets all over and inside all the electronics and causes problems, as we learned from Gus Grissom, I believe it was, and a smuggled sandwich.
That's another Gemini reference, isn't it?
We're
just Gemini heavy today here on the internet satellite launch. Anybody chat? All right, chat. Tell us in chat what's the story that Sawyer's referencing there about the crumbs in space and the smuggled sandwich. I'll leave that one to chat. Y'all talk about it in chat. Let's see if y'all get that right. It is the forbidden sandwich. Let's see here. Oh, hey, there's the moon. Did we go for? I wonder. That is a very full moon, and this rocket is launching. I wonder if there are photographers out there this evening trying to line up shots. Y'all know the cool shots where the rocket goes in front of the moon. You get like the lunar transit sort of thing. That is a very big moon. Maybe what we should do is talk about the trajectory here. We know that it's going out to, I guess, GTO is where it's getting dropped off. But what sort of direction is this rocket going to launch in today? Sawyer.
Yep. So this one is, because it's going to geostationary transfer orbit, it's essentially going pretty much due east. It's a way to use the Earth's spin to get as much of that boost as you can, use it to your advantage to help gain that altitude. So yeah, for this one, basically due east.
Gotcha. Let's see. I know that ULA sometimes puts out these cool graphics that show sort of where you can see it. Let's see if we can't grab that and answer the question where you might be able to see it from this evening. We'll come back to that in just a bit as we get a little bit closer to launch. I will say, if you are watching this evening and you're anywhere over there on the Space Coast, Florida, out in the islands somewhere, when launch time happens, you might want to step outside. You can keep listening on your phone or whatever. We'll get you that graphic so you can see where you might be able to see it and when you might be able to see it. But we'll come back to that in just a minute. Let's grab some more questions from chat here. Here's a good one, Ryan. We're gonna pass this one to you. Hello from Melbourne, just down the coast. My question is, who will this satellite be used by, and where will it eventually end up at the point of deployment? We talked a little bit about the orbit that it's going into. It's going into that higher orbit where it'll sort of hover's the wrong word, but stay above one point of the Earth, right? And then tell us a little bit about who will use it, if you don't mind, Ryan.
So this particular satellite will sit over the Americas and basically bolster Viasat's network capability over the Americas. So, North and South America, sitting at geostationary orbit almost along the equator, because they're going at the inclination is 5.99, so it's not much.
Right.
This is basically it's satellite internet, but they're one of the biggest users of Viasat or whatnot is airline companies, kind of like JetBlue or others who haven't maybe switched to Starlink, or because Starlink is still kind of getting used in. But before Starlink was ever a thing, it was geostationary satellites for internet. On airplanes and other things like that, and Viasat's also used for other internet uses as well. But like one of the big uses is airlines.
Okay, so if you ever got on a flight and you connected to the free in-flight Wi-Fi, previously a lot of that was serviced, I guess some still is, by Viasat, where you're able to get your email or whatever. They're like, you can't stream video or whatever, but you can check your email unless it's on a VPN. Did I get that right?
Yeah, basically it covers aviation, maritime, so like internet to ships and stuff like that. They cover government and defense, and then home and business internet. So they cover a lot. Kind of cover the whole thing, if you want to call it that. I don't know, like all four major sectors, I should say, something like along those lines. But it's a useful satellite,
Gotcha. But no free peanuts on this rocket flight.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Could be.
It's like there's FOD in the fairing and somebody left some peanuts and it's like the Wi-Fi on the plane. In any event, that's where it's going today. Let's see. Oh, one other question. Ryan, you said 5.99. What the heck does that mean, 5.99?
Inclination of 5.99 degrees. So basically, that would mean that the orbit of the satellite is 5.99 degrees offset from the equator, because the equator is 0, and basically, so the degree of your orbit in relation to the equator is 5.99. Like, what is it? The Starlink launch that just went. Oh, now I gotta find it. Or at least, for example, a Starlink launch will be at 43 degrees, or even in the 50s. They switch those around a lot because there's different shells, and they're all the inclination degrees is relative to the equator.
Gotcha. So here's that Viasat-3 F2 launch visibility graphic. Huge thanks to ULA for putting these out. But you see the line? Do you see how the line sort of goes almost straight east out of Florida, but not quite straight east, right? That 5.99, yeah, I like it. Look, we got a little magnifying glass you can follow along with. It's no red DOS art, but we'll take it for this evening. See how that line is not exactly straight out to the side, but it's down just a little bit? That's where that 5.99 sort of comes in. I don't know what map projection this is in, but when Ryan says 5.99 inclination. He's talking about it's not exactly on the equator, like straight east and west. It's down here just a little bit off of that line. Now, contrast that with like a 90-degree inclination. If that line, instead of going out to the east into the ocean like that, went way up the coast, it would be a higher inclination. It would be in the 40s, 50s, 60s. If that line went straight north, it would be 90, but we don't usually do that from the Cape here, because if you go straight north, you end up flying over my house, and I don't want solid rocket boosters flying anywhere near my house. That's why I don't live in China. So in any event, that's what the numbers mean. If it's a low number, it's sort of going around the middle of the Earth, like flat with the equator. If it's a higher number, it's an angle, and it sort of goes around the Earth at an angle, or if it goes all the way up to 90, over the North and South poles, sort of half around the Earth vertically instead of horizontally. In any event, an excellent question, so thanks for helping us explain it. And again, that graphic is available on social media. It sort of shows where you can see potentially the launch from. The answer is all up and down the Space Coast. This isn't hugging the coast. It's not going straight up the eastern seaboard, so you're not going to see it in like Boston or anything like that. But it's also not going on a southerly trajectory. It's sort of going straight out to the Atlantic. So, of course, if you're around the Cape, you'll hopefully see it take off. Still a beautiful night out there, and it will end up going straight east, so your visibility up and down the coast will be limited, but if you're in Florida, good chance you'll be able to see it. What's up next? What's our latest information here? Is our clock still counting down? I see that it's just about 30 minutes. Sawyer.
Our clock, yes. The official clock, no, but that is supposed to be that way.
Do we have to do T minus L minus again?
We have to mention it at least. That's why, I mean, you see two clocks. One has T, one has L for Starlink in this. But yes, the official T minus clock is at 4 minutes and holding. This is a planned 30-minute hold, which is why we are now at L minus 30-ish minutes and going. So basically, the L minus clock, it's like from ELF, the yellow ones. They don't stop. The L clock keeps going down all the way. The T-minus clock has built-in holds that allows the team to basically check things out, work on everything, and make sure it's good to go ahead of launch. Kind of like a built-in buffer window for them. So right now the rocket's fueled and topping off and everything is proceeding. But yeah, that's why they are in a hold, but the actual launch is not in a hold.
It's just two different ways of keeping time, isn't it? Speaking of keeping time, it looks like the live blog has a bit of an update. As of just a couple minutes ago, the Atlas launch team is assessing a technical issue at this time. Issues being examined and troubleshooting is underway. Now, it happens on occasion. It doesn't mean we're done for the day here, but we'll stand by and see if they give us some more information on exactly what sort of technical issue they are working on. Sometimes we get some detail on that, sometimes we don't, but there's one way to find out. We do have a little? All right.
Yes. Per the countdown net from about 8-ish minutes ago, there was an anomaly during a valve cycle test earlier in the countdown. So the anomaly chief has recommended them rerunning the test as an interim solution. And so that is currently ongoing.
A valve cycle test. That sounds like, they open and close the valve, and they make sure that the readings come back as expected. And the fix or retest here is probably just do the test again, right?
That's what it sounds like.
All right. So maybe not a big deal. We see that on occasion every now and then. Sometimes the way these rockets work, they'll have 3 sensors. I'm making this up. There's not any specific example here, but 3 sensors that are all sort of trying to detect the same thing. And if the sensors don't agree, they might flag something. They might say, wait a second, one of these sensors reads a little low, the other 2 agree. What's going on? Should we trust a sensor? Is it a bad sensor, an anomalous reading? What's the deal, right? And so sometimes all they need to do is check it again, and then the readings match, and they just proceed forwards. Sometimes they may look at those 3 or 4 or 8 or however many sensors and just say, yeah, those other sensors are trustworthy. We don't have to worry about that one that's a little bit out of bounds. We're just clear to proceed. Sometimes they'll say, wait a second, those should all exactly match. If one doesn't match, that might be a problem. We're going to hold things and look at it a little bit more. Here, the fix or the recheck seems really simple. Just cycle the valves again, open, close them, and then see if you get the same results once again, or I guess the proper results after you do that. So We'll stand by, not hearing a lot of information besides that on the countdown net, but we will see what additional information we get on that valve cycle check.
And I think it's kind of an important thing because we don't get to cover Atlases as much because they don't launch as much as say Falcon 9 does. But people might think that a hold or an issue might cause a scrub because you're used to Falcon 9's instantaneous launch windows because they use subchill propellant.
Yep.
Atlas does not do that. Atlas, in fact, had its RP1 loaded since yesterday. They load that up. It is not chilled at all. It's just loaded into the tanks. They then spend even a few hours to load the liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen into the first and second stages respectively. And they're able to do holds and everything because they have a much more flexible margin with the temperatures of their propellants, unlike SpaceX, to where a lot of times the way they subchill their propellants gets the correct performance out of Falcon 9 in order to be able to actually do the mission that it has. You may, and then I know a lot of people may ask, well, how come Starship is able to have a hold? Starship's hold is simply because of the sheer amount of propellant on board that vehicle. It's able to maintain its temperature and not go out of range. So it's they still subchill it, obviously, as we've covered many a times with their subcoolers and everything like that. But that's just sheer amount of propellant, and it doesn't raise the temperature. But for Atlas here, they have margin because they don't subchill it.
Gotcha. And that's where we see that in that window a little bit, right? Remember we talked about a 40, 50 something minute window where they didn't have to launch at that exact time. They could scoot it back a little bit. They had a little bit of flexibility, and they even have some flexibility in that built-in hold. So we'll see what the solution here is. The first check is literally what you might hear if you call IT support to turn it off and on again. I don't know if it's really turning the valve on and off again. It's cycling the valve, like opening and closing the valve. Is that the same as turning a valve on and off? I guess you could argue that in the comments. But in any event, a good question, and we'll continue to watch what's going on. The clock is still ticking for now. If we get a new T0, we will update that and let you know. Apparently, the weather is go. We've got another update saying weather is observed and forecast go for liftoff a half hour from now, according to the Countdown's final planned briefing by Weather Officer Brian Belson. Didn't get audio of that. Sometimes we wish we could listen into that, but we appreciate the text update blog. Even if the valve isn't currently go, the weather is go. Sawyer, how is it? Is the wind still super calm like it was earlier?
Yeah, I just licked my finger and stuck it up in the air, and I can tell you my finger is wet. But no, there's been basically no breeze here. The lake, or the waters that I'm in front of right now, are very calm. There are a few thin, wispy clouds in the sky, but nothing terrible at all. It is a very calm night weather-wise.
Gotcha. That's a little bit weird. I mean, a lot of times we get those winds out there and we're fighting against shaky cameras and bad conditions and that sort of stuff. But here we have a fantastic shot of the moon. I don't know if anybody's going to chant moon, 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 because this is just going to GTO, I guess. And then the rocket on the side there, you see a little bit of turbulence in that shot, but that's just because we got a couple miles of air in between the camera lens and the rocket itself. Uh-oh. We're uploading some information to the flight computer. Sawyer, do you want to talk about their accurately named file that's being uploaded here?
Yes, so as they're going through the count and as they find their exact T0s and target everything down, they do a final adjustment of all of their numbers for the inertial navigation control assembly. And so for that adjustment, they upload a file called adjust. That is the automatic determination and dissemination of just updated steering terms. So basically, the rocket knows exactly how to steer given the exact T0 to the second, how everything is on board, how the weather is. So with that final weather briefing now, they have adjusted the adjust file.
Oh, acronyms. How do they work? At least that one makes a little bit of sense in terms of what's going on. Hey, Got a helicopter, a range helicopter there flying in the background, it looks like. Speaking of that, look at the vapors coming off of the side of the rocket there, the venting that sort of you see. It's not streaming off into the distance like you see sometimes. When we get a stiff wind in a direction, you'll see that vapor sort of streaming off one way or the other, but that vapor is sort of like right next to the rocket. Look at this. That is the flagpole there at the press site. And that, if there weren't some pixels sort of flashing in that, you'd think that that image was frozen because that flag is hardly moving at all. As soon as I start to talk about it, it waves out from behind the flagpole like one sliver of a pixel there. But talk about not having a lot of wind. It is still out there tonight. Should make for some cool viewing. I do have a little bit of support that is here in the chat. Y'all know the drill. Like, the team rolls out, they stack up all the cameras, they're out there. A lot of times we say in the lousy weather. It looks like it's great weather tonight. Hopefully there's not too many bugs, but they spend so much time getting out there to bring you these camera feeds. Y'all can say thank you to them by doing super chats and that sort of thing. And we got a couple of those that have come in here this evening. So let me read through some of these. A little bit ago, C3TIC said, not only tonight is a double launch, there's also a supermoon. Pretty rare for a double launch and a supermoon on the same night. It's pretty rare for a double launch. I mean, I feel like the local news is always telling me that it's a double plus badger moon or something like that. Like, every month they have some wacky name for the moon. But here, the the double launch, I think, is the big thing we like to see this evening. Moon is cool too. Troy Rubert. I'm not sure if I can report on any sales or trading of sheep, but we'll have to leave that for the members back channel. If you remember the member program, you get some of our behind the scenes.
Can I just claim that I won?
Can you? Can you say that? I don't know. I don't know what the status is. D, can you?
I don't know. Is Kevin able to unmute and correct me in time? I don't think so. So I definitely won.
Did you trade enough sheep or jump enough hexagons or whatever?
You know, it might have not been my day that last night, but it's fine.
You didn't win.
Hi, KMR.
You lost 3 times to me and 1 time to a Memby.
One of the things we do with the member program is we have some gaming night and that sort of stuff in the background. Sometimes the members get to play with the team and crew and staff and that sort of stuff. They don't let me play. Apparently,
you're more than welcome.
They don't want the boss to know how many games they're playing when I think they're setting up cameras. In any event, appreciate the support there. Thank you for that $4.99 super chat, Troy. Space Exploration 2025. This one we could toss to Ryan real quick. What's the clock say? 19 minutes? Ryan, you don't have a lot of time to answer this. It's a Starship question. If SpaceX does indeed cryo on Pad 2, won't they have to install the grid fins? Huh?
Cryo on Pad. I think they're referencing the Jeff tweet from Kiko about the booster possibly going out within days or weeks to the pad for testing. Most likely, it'll go to Massey's for puck shucking testing and cryo.
Yeah.
As far as I remember, they cannot load LN2 on Pad 2. The line, there's no nitrogen line that hooks into the methane side. Not that I've seen anyways.
Like yet? Like it's not installed or ready yet?
As far as I know, there's nowhere to even hook it into.
Yeah. Some people in chat are saying they can't lift it if it doesn't have grid fins?
Yeah, they can't. Well, they could with a crane, but the sticks wouldn't be able to lift it because the grid fins are required in order to use the sticks because, well, the grid fins now have the lift points on the booster. So on the Block 3 booster. So if you were to place it on the pad using the chopsticks, you would need grid fins. But you could do it with the 11K.
With a crane or something like that.
11,000 if you really wanted to. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. For more analysis of that, that's more of a Starbase update. We do those videos every Monday. So if you haven't followed the channel, like and subscribe, turn on the bell or whatever. If you're super interested in Starship, we have those detailed analysis every Monday. And you know how to find your way back here for that. Here's another one. Isabellink, does Isaacman nomination equal no SLS Block 2 plus? That sounds like something we should talk about on the Flame Trench.
So that's like a Flame Trench question.
Yeah, that's definitely a Flame Trench question. Big news this week is Isaacman is re-nominated for the administrator of NASA, Jared Isaacman, of course. The nomination was sort of Charlie Brown football, pulled out from under him, and then it is apparently back. We'll see if he takes another kick at it. And we'll talk about that on the Flame Trench this Friday, our live talk show where we delve into all sorts of different things. But Isabel, thank you so much. I think it's Isabel. Thank you so much for the support. Yang Fu Min, why 5.99 degrees inclination and not 6 degrees? It's just the math. I don't have any specific answer to that. Does anybody have any specific guess as to why it's 5.99 and not 6?
I don't know. That might be a Viasat question. Like ask them why they want it in that very specific inclination, or it could be a rounding thing. I don't really know, to be honest.
You know my guess? 6 degrees sounds made up, like you just chose a number, but 5.99 sounds like science. It sounds like you calculated that, and it's very important for it to be 5.99 for the best internet satellite beaming or whatever. That's my guess.
Or just to annoy anyone with OCD.
Just to annoy anyone. Nice. And one more, that diabetic kid, I recognize that name from long ago. Good to hear from you again. I'm not sure about this. I don't think we've heard any reports about the range not being clear. Have we gotten any range violation reports or anything like that? I don't think I've seen that. Have y'all?
Not that I'm aware of. I haven't seen or heard anything. I know we have people monitoring the countdown net and have not heard anything that I'm aware of.
I'm trying to read this and discern what it is. I don't know if this is about the previous launch, like somebody thought the Falcon launch was an emergency flare, or if this is a range violation sort of question. But one way or the other, we'll keep checking in with the ULA updates. I think we're probably due to get an update on that valve cycle issue because the clock continues to tick down and we're rapidly approaching L minus 15 minutes and the opening of the window. In any event, folks, we can't do this unless you all show up. You don't have to toss a coin in the hat or anything like that. Just being here and answering questions in chat and being Nick and Sweeney and all the other ways that you support what we do. That's all you have to do. But if you're able and you toss $5 in or something, all that gets paid back to the team so that we can keep doing this for a living. What's up, Nick? I see you over there in chat. I didn't miss you because you're not blue anymore. How you doing, dude? And subscribing. That's not spelled anywhere near correctly in the back channel, but you can also subscribe to the channel and be a member of the member program. You could just watch the videos. Like if you're here and an ad rolls, don't be like, oh gosh, I hate ads. We work really hard not to put ads at like T minus 30 seconds or anything like that, but it's another way that you can help support what we do. Kiwi Nibbles. A late breaking question. Kiwi Nibbles would like to know, Das, did the sun set? Or did the sun roughly set today? It set pretty smoothly today. I don't think it was very rough. Kiwi, appreciate you watching the Starbase summaries. Apparently, in my infinite wisdom, I informed a previous summary that the sun tends to set roughly once a day. And then, of course, people in the comments will, well, what about at the North Pole? What about at the South Pole? And I'm like, oh, good grief. I love you, YouTube. Never change.
That's good.
Back to the live updates. Live update from ULA. We continue to have one technical issue still outstanding that is being worked by the team. Brings us just under that T minus 14, or I guess L minus 14 minute mark. But we'll continue to see if that number results in a new T0 or what the deal is going to be. As for now, I think the clocks are continuing to count. But remember, they have a little bit of a window this evening. It's not an instantaneous launch. Being such a capable, dialable, adjusted rocket, Atlas has a little bit of time here in the window to get off the pad today. Where should we go next? Y'all, it's been a while since I've done one of these. Have I forgotten anything that I'm supposed to be talking about? I'm just sort of talking.
Could talk about the rocket.
Do you want to talk about the rocket, or do you just want to watch the rocket launch?
I mean, we could. I mean, right on the screen there. I mean, it's it's Atlas V. It's configuration 551, which is a 5 meters wide standard length version payload fairing. You've got 5 GEM 63 solid rocket motors, the 5.5, and then the 1 stands for the single RL-10 engine on the Centaur. And of course, ULA likes to nickname their Atlas V configurations, and this one is Bruiser. I don't remember all the nicknames off the top of my head. There's a whole list of them that Tori posted at one point or another. So,
Yes. So that's sort of the number there, right? You see the configuration 551, like you said. It's got the 5-meter fairing. You see how the fairing, it's hidden a little bit behind the structure there, that gray structure. What's the right terminology? It's like a gantry looking thing. It's got the beams, the little diagonals and stuff. That's not the rocket itself. The rocket is on the far side of that. And you see how the fairing sort of comes out to the side a little bit? That's because the fairing is the 5-meter wide fairing. It's actually wider than the main body of the rocket, so you see it sort of flare out a little bit like that. The second 5 in the number is those 5 GEM 63 solid rocket motors down on the bottom. Those will put on much more of a show when it lifts off. You really see those riding to space on a pillar of flame and smoke. There's no launch like an SRB launch. I love the Methalox rockets. I love the Falcon 9s. But if you're out there and it's a sunny day at the Cape and you see a launch that has a couple SRBs on it, you're like, yeah, that's a rocket launch. Look at that thing go. Because it leaves this huge plume of cloud, like white smoke behind it all the way up. And that last one is the one RL-10C-1-1 engine on the Centaur. I do appreciate that we switched to this camera where the rocket went to the side a little bit so it wasn't hidden behind the interesting information we've put on the screen. What else did you want to say about the rocket, Ryan?
there was the the engine, the RD-180. For the main engine on the booster, the core of the Atlas V, it's basically half of an RD-170, and it's double what an RD-191 is. It's a whole family of Soviet or Russian engines, basically, based off the RD-170, which was slated to be used on Energia, which was going to launch Buran, which only did once, didn't do anymore again. But it's a really, really nice engine, a closed cycle Carolox engine. It's going to be sad once it stops flying, because I mean there's only a set number of Atlas V's left, and then that engine's not going to fly anymore.
Gotcha. That's that weird engine where it's like one engine, but there's more than one combustion chamber, and it's very confusing. And it's not just count the bells. It's confusing, isn't it? What is it in like 2 chambers, but it's a single engine with 2 nozzles or something?
It's basically a if I remember this correctly, it's been a minute. Yeah, you basically have a set of turbo pumps, or like basically your 2 turbo pumps, your LOX and your kerosene, if I remember correctly. And then you have it split into 2 combustion chambers and 2 nozzles. Is basically what it's set up as for the RD-180.
Gotcha. All right. We are now on this clock at L-9 minutes. It just ticked over. We are continuing to wait for more updates from ULA. Are they going to continue on with this T0, or are they going to give us a new T0? That last update that they're troubleshooting a technical issue. I haven't seen the resolution of that, but we'll stand by and continue watching. Some quick stats on this launch. It's ULA's 168th launch overall. That's not just like this year, that's overall. It's their 5th launch of the year here in November. I guess it's the 5th launch because it's November 5th. That's how you do that math. It's Earth's 260th orbital launch of the year. I like it. We keep track of that number. Atlas V itself has 105 launches under its Atlas belt, and it's the 18th launch of that 551 configuration, the 5-meter fairing, 5 SRBs, and the single Centaur engine. 82nd launch from SLC 41 or Slick 41, 88th launch of Atlas V. All these stats, who keeps these stats going? I appreciate these stats. And after this mission, only 11 Atlas V rockets remain.
Who do you think keeps all these stats, Das?
That's why I asked, so somebody would have an excuse to say it out loud.
C.
See?
C. Nice. I think we get those live facts from our very own Alejandro Alcantarilla Romera, who doesn't have their headset on right now. But Alex, we appreciate you keeping track of all this stuff. As the clock continues to count, I do need to read this. Let's see here. It's just launch conductor being notified that Viasat's on internal power, but I don't think we've got an update on that T0. Hang in there. The clock's going to continue to count, but with no updates this close in. My guess is that they come back with another T0, L0, whatever you want to call it. But stand by. As soon as we get one reported, we will let you know. I do need to do this and circle back to say thank you to some more. We don't have polls or anything, do we? Stand by.
This is about when they would be. So the fact that we don't have them is a good indicator that there's a chance that this might not be the current T0 and that it may move.
I saw that we switched to the mission control view here, and I saw that the ULA display said readiness polling, so I didn't know if we were going to get this. But if they're not doing a poll right now, let's check in and see if we expect to have audio from this, or maybe that poll's delayed. I do see quite a few people intently looking at their screens. I think what
also mentioned something about readiness poll T-minus 4 minutes in the top right, which is unusual because it's normally 7-ish minutes.
Yep. If we get normally we'd think that this should be done by now. So like you said, Sawyer, if it's not done by now or it's not currently underway, probably not likely that L minus is going to stick, correct?
Yeah, and I should say, it said the T-minus coming up, which we're at T-minus 4 and holding. Yeah, it's the L minus. They get confusing enough.
Good grief. At least there's not like a P minus or a Q minus or something like that. Some new launch
Atlas
provider.
Control at L minus 5 minutes and 23 seconds. We are currently not hearing a poll because the team is working an issue. Thankfully, our launch window tonight extends 44 minutes, and we will keep on listening in for updates.
Well,
there you go.
You heard it straight from that cheerful voice at ULA, y'all. We're going to continue to stand by for updates. They're still working that technical issue, but Atlas not making that initial shot there, like they said, got some time in the window, so we will see what we get as soon as more information is available. You know, the good news is now I don't have to speed run the support because we've got some absolutely bonkers support in the queue over here. As soon as there's an update, let me know over here. But let me say thanks to some folks again. Nick Petros, $10 super chat here on YouTube, says, let's go with an exclamation point. Appreciate you. Hopefully we do get to go here. Unfortunately, the go, no go poll did not go. I'm doing my very best to channel Sawyer there. But thank you for the $10 super chat. We've got Jeff Rowe, who gifted a Red Team membership. If you're hanging out chatting with folks over there in the chat, you might get a gifted membership. It's like a free 1-month trial of the membership program where you get all the benefits that the membership level you're gifted gets. So if you got one of those, make sure you say thank you to whoever they came from. That one was from Jeff Rowe. So I have Astro95 Media enjoying the doubleheader while watching the moon from Houston. Thanks, gents. That was a tip, actually. That came into tips.nasaspaceflight.com. It doesn't mean you, send us an email with, Starship will launch from the Cape in January. That's not the type of tip we're talking about. We're talking about the monetary type of tips. Another way you can support us, you don't want to do it through YouTube or whatever. You can go straight to our website, tips.nasaspaceflight.com. and send money directly to us to help support what we do. That $20 tip goes an awful long way towards helping the team out, Astro95. So thank you so much for the support. We got a store message that came through as well. If you pick up something in the shop while we're live, the shop asks you if you'd like to put a message in to be read on the stream. And so here we are with Eric, who says UCF space game versus Houston on Friday night and no launch. Come on, Elon. Launches are amazing from the bounce house. I don't know if they schedule the launches as fireworks for sporting events. Maybe one day we'll get there. Do appreciate the support. Thank you so much for picking up something from the shop and supporting what we do. That was that Starship Moonrise. Look, there's the image from the shop, the Starship Moonrise up in the upper right-hand corner. Update. We have an update, it looks like, don't we? Ryan.
Yep, the update. Oh,
Sawyer, go ahead, Sawyer.
I was going to say the update is basically what we heard before, that they are extending the hold at the T-minus 4-minute mark while they continue to work a technical issue, which, again, last we heard from their previous updates and from listening into the countdown net, that is related to some kind of valve issue that they had earlier in the countdown that they've been troubleshooting. The window, as mentioned, continues for 44 minutes beyond its original 10:24 opening.
Gotcha. So a useful update. I mean, of course, they're going to continue working the issue. As soon as we get new information, we'll let you know. You can see we've made it orange in the upper left-hand corner, saying we're awaiting a new information. But thank you so much. I guess I have to clear that off the screen, don't I? I mean, everybody likes that starship in front of the moon shot there, right? There was another one as well. Let's see what this pops up as. Does it pop up with a different product? Oh, and the Starship Flight 11 patch. We don't do patches for every single flight, but that Starship Flight 11 patch was pretty cool. We do these super high quality collector's edition patches, so that was the other part of that order from Eric, supporting what we do. Now, I was working my way all the way down to this one, but we've got to hit this one. Crispy at tips.nasaspaceflight.com, straight to the channel, cutting out the middleman, $200. The message says, thank you for your constant coverage and good times. My work people are starting to finally remember you guys because I'm almost constantly got something running from the NSF crew. Much love to my favorite YouTube channel. Keep up the amazing work. Crispy, thank you so much. $200 is absolutely insane. That is a huge amount of support. It's never expected from anybody. Everybody's welcome to watch our streams, hang out, chat, be a part of the community. Everybody's welcome. It's not about how much you give or anything like that. But $200 in a single tip straight to us like that really does help us continue on with this coverage. Only thing we can do is say thank you and keep the rocket views rolling. But thank you so much. I also like the fact that you're like indoctrinating the people at work. Like you're sort of like forcing them. You like play NSF. Here's some commentary in the background. And it's not really loud, but it's sort of there and it gets in their brain. Like subconsciously, they start to become NSF fans. Just make sure that if they watch, they do so on their own device so that it counts as a separate view. Thank you. I'm kidding. Just put it on your monitor and make them watch on your monitor. I don't care. A lot of people in the back channel also saying thank you for the $200 there as well, Crispy. Chat, help us out there as well. Say thanks to Chris P for the $200 tip. We will continue on the coverage because that is an awful lot of support. All right. Apparently, there's some gifted Red Team memberships here as well. Crispy gifted 10 Red Team memberships, too. And then Nick Petros gifted another one, and Leia Larson gifted one as well. So not only the dollars, but the gifted Red Team memberships, spreading some of the extra content love to other people as well. Either way you slice it, no, we're not saying Chris B, we're saying Crispy. Crispy. It said it in the message, Crispy. In any event, hey, we don't want to make every stream all about constantly thanking folks, right? But we do have to say thank you. If we were here and we were just like streaming the rocket to no one and nobody showed up to watch the views of the rocket. Nobody appreciated what we did. Everybody just wanted to listen to the Klingon track and not get any commentary at all. We'd probably stop doing it. So the fact that y'all keep showing up and hanging out with us and sharing this sort of stuff really does mean a lot. And we will keep showing up as long as you do. Speaking of which, no more. Are you gonna put another merch plug on the screen? I just talked about how we didn't want to make the whole stream about this. Good grief. It's another cool thing. We recently crossed over 20 years of spaceflight coverage. We're not like an up and YouTube. Oh, we just started this last year to try and get a piece of the YouTube pie. We have been covering spaceflight in all sorts of different forms, all the way back to the shuttle era. This is our 20th year in operations. Actually, technically, Chris Bergen would like everybody to know that he's been doing it for 20 years. The rest of you lot turned up later. I don't know if I was supposed to read that out loud on stream, but I did. It is an awful long time. So to celebrate that, we actually put together a list of places that we have been to bring you coverage. Space Coast and all the pads is on there. We've got Wallops on there. Norway, we've brought live rocket feeds from Norway with Isar Aerospace. Of course, Brownsville, Texas was there as well. Now that it's a smaller font, I can't read it anymore. But if you want to read it, you should go to the shop. Here's the link over in chat that you can click on so that you can continue reading the message yourself. There's t-shirts. There's like a tour poster. You can get a hoodie. Again, it's another cool way to support what we do. But we were really proud of that. When we started to put down the list, people on the team kept saying like, oh, what about this? Oh, what about this? Oh, add this. Oh, remember that time you streamed from SpaceX on the street in Hawthorne, California, and you were driving around like filming the rockets that were in the middle of the street? Yeah, we did that. We put it on the shirt. So in any event, it really is a cool milestone for us to celebrate. If you want to help us out, that 20-year anniversary merch is over in the shop, and get you a shirt, a hoodie, or something like that. We did. Did we put that link in chat? We need that direct link to that in chat. I don't know if we have that link anywhere, but if we get the link, we can spam it in chat a few times so y'all can hop straight over and finish reading the list on there. So, looks like another update is coming in from ULA. Stand by, and we'll get that on the screen. It's one of those like updates. Engineers at Cape Canaveral and ULA's Design Center in Denver are working together to develop options to solve the issue for a launch tonight. Launch opportunity remains available through 11:08 p.m. Eastern Time. So still a bit of time in that window. We are going to start eating through that time here, but we will see if they're able to resolve that this evening. I'm doing an awful lot of talking. Who else wants to talk? Ryan, you want to talk?
I mean, sure, I'll talk. What do we got? What do we got here?
Oh, you need me to tell you what to talk about? Good grief!
No, I'm just. Do we want to talk? Okay. It's like we got. Oh, it's a moon, as Kevin points out. It's the moon.
It is the moon. You can talk about the moon.
We're going back to it, aren't we? Yeah.
I mean, allegedly. I've been told.
Allegedly.
That we're going back to the moon. We've been there a few times, but I think once we're going to sort of do a loop-de-loop around it, hopefully sometime next year, and then eventually we'll end up building a McDonald's there.
Let's go.
I think it's a Burger King. We're supposed to build a Burger King. We can deploy a Burger King to the moon. You know you've colonized the moon and you have a proper moon base when it's got a Burger King at like the PX or whatever.
Dear Lord.
You know that would be an accomplishment.
I mean, it would be.
It'd be a moon whopper.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, it'd be a moon whopper. Eastern Shore Spaceflight. What's up? Says that it'd be a moon whopper. No, in all seriousness, when our spacefaring ability progresses to the level that Burger King can containerize a Burger King and ship it to the moon to serve the astronauts, that is some seriously cool space capability that we'd all get to observe. That's why I think it's cool.
And I mean, it's not the rocket in front of us that's going to really make that possible. I mean, it's definitely. I will say this: Atlas V has definitely pushed the spaceflight industry ahead, because it's still an incredibly important rocket to spaceflight. Like, I mean, there's a lot of satellites and there's a lot of things that wouldn't exist without it. Let's just put it that way. The rocket that'll push something towards that would be something along the lines of Starship, with the amount of capability it has to put stuff into orbit, or New Glenn, which is currently getting its payload and should be launching in 4 days. So yeah, there's a lot of exciting stuff going on, and that it would definitely be one of those accomplishments to put a Burger King on the moon.
Burger King on the moon. You could put a Chick-fil-A on the moon, but it wouldn't be open on Sundays, and the astronauts would have to eat like frozen dinners or something every Sunday. In any event, do want to apologize. I was very confused for a second there. We were using that feed from United Launch Alliance showing the rocket on the pad, and suddenly they did like a Star Wars-esque wipe to rocket ignition that made it look like something exploded or was on fire, and then it was B-roll that they were playing. And I was very confused for a second. I don't know if you all in chat were. Ryan, did you see that?
Yeah, it was Vulcan. I was like, that's not Atlas.
Suddenly Vulcan.
Yeah.
I guess if you've got an unplanned hole, you got to fill it with something, and the Vulcan B-roll is as good as anything else. It was just a very surprising, harsh transition from that close-up camera. I'm like, why is there flaming grass flying in front of the camera? That doesn't make any sense. It was really weird, wasn't it, Snallygaster? Jeez. I actually don't know if Snallygaster goes beyond Fallout, but that's where I know it from. Maybe it's like a West Virginia thing. In any event, let's see here. Here's a good question. Let's toss this one in for Sawyer. Sawyer, will they have to go to the pad to troubleshoot this? Like a rocket on the pad fueled, is there like a red team sort of thing? Can they go out there and check the rocket in person? Or is this mostly a remote troubleshooting step, mostly, it sounds like?
There are certain times when they can send a red team, as you mentioned, that's why we have red team memberships, out to the pad. They're kind of the things aren't going right. We're going to risk our lives and safety to go out up to a certain point. We saw that, I believe, during the launch of SLS on its first flight.
Yeah, Artemis 1.
Yeah. But at this point, I doubt we will see it, because by the time it takes to get people out there with a fully fueled rocket, everything up and running out there, this is something they troubleshoot remotely. Plus, when you only have a 44-minute window, by the time you get someone out there, get them up to the pad safely and back, there goes your entire window. This is something they will troubleshoot entirely remotely. And if they need to physically go out to the pad, then we won't say the word, but that would be the end of the attempt.
Yeah, that's probably a really good point there. Like 45 minutes isn't 0 minutes, but in terms of a team going all the way out to the pad when you've already sort of crossed into that window and doing something physically and then leaving again, seems to be unlikely this evening. The good news is the upper level winds are verified acceptable for the entire launch window. How often? Well, I guess it's a short launch window. You don't usually see like, yep, the entire window's great. It's fine. The weather's never going to change.
There's also barely any breeze. There's barely any clouds. The clouds that I can see there in the upper level are basically still, if there's anything. So yeah, no, I can see why they said that.
See, that time Kevin caught it, but there was almost a plane in our face. we do want to show you the ULA cameras, but they're not technically a clean feed. Like, it's ULA switched feed, so they keep tossing stuff into it. So it's like, what a beautiful view of the rocket on the pad, and then suddenly flames or a plane. I don't know what that plane was like flying right at the camera, wouldn't it?
Like hard cut, like just out of nowhere.
I almost just want to stay on that camera so we can see, like after this video finishes, let's see what the next ULA jump scare is going to be.
No, Halloween was 5 days ago or 6 days ago.
It was 5 days ago. Good grief. I don't know when we'll see a Waffle House on the moon. That's a great question, Adrian's World. Waffle House on the moon?
That sounds pretty good.
It's the Waffle House Lunar Index. You can tell how bad the solar radiation storm is by whether or not the Waffle Houses stay open on the moon.
Yeah, beware of lunar fights.
Yep.
I wonder how many people hear that statement and have no clue what we're talking about.
Right.
What do they mean if the Waffle Houses stay open in a radiation storm? These people are crazy. What are they talking about?
Yeah, if we're gonna use the moon as a gas, like a gas station, like a stop point to the rest of the solar system, you got to have a Waffle House, you got to have a Buc-ee's, you got to have what else? What else is there? The quintessential road trip stops. You got to have everything up there so you stop off before you go to the rest of the solar system on your starship, right?
It's like we'll get the Buc-ee's on the moon or whatever. Wawa. Chat, okay, let's fill the time with this. You're moving to the moon base, right? Artemis has been successful. Starship has built at least one permanent establishment on the moon. You've been invited to go work on the moon, but you're not going to work on the moon unless what's there? What do you need on the moon? What will you not go to the moon unless there's one there? A Whataburger? I mean, Whataburger's pretty good. Zaxby's? I'm looking. Buc-ee's on the moon. We carry a harpoon. Moldy. Nice. HEB, you could get some fajitas, pre-marinated fajitas from HEB. That's good. A NASCAR track. That's a weird one. Can you imagine how the turns would have to be banked in order to keep the cars on the track? In and out. Yeah, okay. DoorDash on the moon. It's a little bit of a delivery between Earth. They have to pick it up at the restaurant on Earth and deliver it to you on the moon. Sunnyside Fluent or MUV? Huh. I don't know what those are. Apparently there's other people talking about this. Folks, keep it up. Put it into chat. Watch a Texas Roadhouse. That's actually not bad. I could get me a heck of a steak and a salad on the moon. A golf course? We've already done that. There's a golf course on the moon. Let's look at this update real quick, y'all, while y'all continue to tell us what you need on the moon in order to go work there. They're still holding at T-minus 4 minutes while the team is working an issue that needs to be resolved before we can proceed with tonight's launch. I like it. Plain English right there. No marketing speak in that message. They're continuing to work on that while they hold. So, Wendy's on the moon. Can I ban somebody from our Discord? Ryan Caton says that Whataburger is clearly last place. I'm going to strip all of his roles and kick him out of the Discord.
You have the power.
I do. They're just little X's. It's like remove role. Live stream operator, remove role. Video host, remove role. Whataburger enjoyer, he doesn't have that role apparently. Oh, we don't want to start a religious debate.
Does that say that we're now trying to add more video hosts and anything?
Yeah, but I'm going to go sit at the local Whataburger and hand out milkshakes and see if I can't recruit some more video hosts.
Yeah, must enjoy Whataburger on their resume.
I didn't think this is what would lead to my termination, but the time has come. we were trying to. Ryan came down for a Starship flight, right? And we're trying to feed Ryan food, and I have all this food that I think is delicious, that I love, and I don't get here in North Carolina. I go down to Texas, and I'm getting my Whataburger, and I'm getting my HEB breakfast kolaches, the jalapeno cheese kolaches, and this sort of stuff. And I'm trying to feed him to Ryan, and he's not impressed with any of the food that I think is absolutely delicious. I can only blame the British who raised him in the fact that they don't like flavor.
Yeah, it's all bland and can confirm. I mean, been there. So
I just got back from there, and we were in Scotland for a couple of weeks, and we were wondering why the hamburgers were made of meatloaf. Oh, Ryan says the little hot dog things were all right. The breakfast hot dogs, the kolaches, the pigs in the blankets. We had to call them breakfast hot dogs to get them to eat them. and get the non-jalapeno ones. Okay, we better answer some questions or engage in some interesting, intelligent chat as opposed to saying we need...
Wendy's is on the moon.
Wendy's is on the moon. What?
Is that a video of my cat who
producer's
got his head
vote?
stuck in a there you go. My cat got his head stuck in a Whataburger French fry container once. It was very funny.
The wheels are off the Atlas V wagon here as we stand by for official updates from ULA, who does not get to have nearly as much fun as we do during these launches. Oh, it really was a meatloaf hamburger, though. I was like, what is this? Why did they put meatloaf on a hamburger? Hey. Stand by.
Roger.
We're being very quiet right now.
We're hunting Atlas.
Yes. Thank you, Sawyer. We can be friends.
Wascally Wabbit.
Wascally Watless.
Yeah.
Is what it is. Okay, getting a translation, we were trying to pipe some in, but the audio comms did not continue in such a way that we could pipe them in. It sounds like they're in the middle of that troubleshooting, trying to figure this issue out. It was not an update saying like, oh, we have a new T0 or anything like that. It sounds like we just got a little bit of comms chatter on the loop as they were trying to actually troubleshoot this. So let's do the math real quick. I haven't done the math recently. How much time do we have remaining in the window this evening? First one gets a Whataburger milkshake. Chat's buying.
We have till 11:08, so that would be 26 minutes. And I'll take
Alex technically put it into the back channel first, but I don't think we can ship a Whataburger milkshake to Spain very easily. Maybe if Starship point-to-point happens ever, in Spain allows huge flying rockets to come barreling in through the atmosphere to land somewhere in their territory. That's fine. I guess, Sawyer, I owe you a Whataburger milkshake if you drink those.
I do have a deal. And it's also worth noting, again, although there's 26 minutes, or now 25 minutes in the window, they do need to pick up the count 21 minutes
This is Atlas Mission
from
Control
now.
at L-4 minutes and holding. Earlier today, our team...
As they go to another playback. Yeah, the actual, again, because they are in a T-4 minute and holding mark. So the clock must be T-4 minutes and counting before 11:04, or else they can't go tonight.
Okay. We did cut that audio. That was just sort of a generic update that was no additional information. So we jumped out of that. Apparently, they're watching our stream because they're talking about the moon. Over there, it rubbed off, the moon chatter rubbed off on the official ULA commentators.
We'll have to see if they say what they think needs to be on the surface of the moon, what restaurant chain or something.
Can you imagine on the official ULA broadcast? Can you imagine commentary like this on the official?
Tori Bruno says he would like a hat factory on the moon.
I think he'd want stables for his horses or something. I want to see a horse run on the moon.
I
in any
mean,
event.
so would Crispy, I bet. So
That'd be amazing. Marmite. Olive Garden. Olive Garden is a solid, reliable thing to eat. The soup, salad, and breadsticks with the pasta fagioli is my order. This stream is
officially starting a debate that we have had on the Flame Trench.
This stream is not sponsored by the Olive Garden, unless Olive Garden out there, anybody watching, my DMs are open. Steak and Shake's not bad.
You know, we just brought up horses in the moon, and I just thought of how a spacesuit would work for a horse.
At least you can encapsulate the entire horse in the spacesuit. It's not like, how would a horse wear pants? Yeah. You know, is it just around the legs, like laterally along the horse, or like the back end of the horse? You don't have to worry about that. The whole horse needs to be pressurized in order to survive on the moon. We should really be talking about how horses can use broadband internet satellites, like aboard this Viacom satellite or whatever. We should tie this back into the mission somehow. Not going to the moon tonight.
I mean, yeah, we're going to like 23,000 kilometers out versus like 250,000. That's something, I guess.
Oh, well, look at this. Wait. Hey. All right. You see a little typing icon? Oh, nope. Stop typing. The suspense. This is how ULA drives engagement on their live updates blog. Sometimes you can see the comms person typing, and then it goes away, and you're like, wait, what did they type? Oh, they typed?
I can confirm it is an actual real person that is doing the typing on that.
Is this live typing telemetry again? Like as they're entering characters, it displays, and then when they stop actively typing, it goes away?
Yes.
Like it
I
just
can
went away
confirm
again?
from someone who I know who does it that is how it works.
Ah, here's the update. Look, they hit enter. They found the enter key. Team actively working the issue as they continue holding with 20 minutes remaining in the launch opportunity. I'm going to toss this out here. Do we know of a backup window? If they don't go in the next 20 minutes, do they already have backup dates on the calendar? Sawyer, do you know off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I believe they have another attempt tomorrow, roughly the same time, but I would have to look up the exact time.
So
All
the
right.
times are 22:24 to 20. Oh, never mind. I read the wrong one. That's tonight's window.
So that one valid is just for a single night, and it's wacky because it crosses Zulu times or something, I guess. Oh, not really. I guess it didn't really cover it. It's just the only published window right now is the one here on November 5th.
You've got
is the information I think I'm getting.
You've got a backup to let's see, there's on the 7th, 0316 Zulu to 0505 Zulu. So it would be a little bit earlier on.
Is that on the 7th?
To 11:05.
Yeah, that's the 7th. Yeah.
Okay. All
so
right.
of UTC, so that would be the 6th Eastern time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the 6th Eastern time or the 7th Zulu time, right?
Yep.
So yeah,
All right.
almost 24-hour turnaround, except 2 minutes earlier.
Yeah. So to translate that into non-rocket nerd speak, if they don't get it off the pad tonight, they do have sort of a window that's been designated. It doesn't mean they'll go for it tomorrow, but they usually do this on the calendar. You don't just say like, yep, this is the date, no matter what. It's this or nothing. Like we're not going even if you go interplanetary or have a more complicated mission, usually you have a set of dates that your mission will work with. We're not trying to intercept an asteroid that's barreling towards Earth and there's only one opportunity to do it, right? But they might have another opportunity. It's going to come down to what the issue is. If they are not able to resolve it, but all of the updates from ULA say that they continue to work the issue and there is just a little bit of time remaining in the window this evening. Whew. All right. Well, let's say thanks to a couple people just really quickly. John, Coaches, Mr. Turkey, Turkey, that's what that says. J&J Coffee Shop. I don't know what J&J Coffee Shop is, but it must be good if you would not go to work on the moon without it. Appreciate the support there, John. Thank you so much. Crispy like Crispy, Chris P. like Crispy, did a $40 super chat here. It says, Alex and Sawyer get Whataburger. Sawyer, I know how we can get you Whataburger. Alex, next time you're down or next time when you're in the States, let us know. We owe you a Whataburger if you want a Whataburger. Not redeemable for cash. You have to have the Whataburger.
Sounds good. And again, I posted the video somewhere. I may have to share it on socials of my cat, again, getting stuck in it. Or maybe I'll save that as a goal for Flame Trench.
You should save that as a goal for Flame Trench. I like it. Speaking of socials, if we need to get more updates and we get to the end of this stream with no rocket launch, a great way to keep up with what we're doing is to follow us on literally any of our socials. Like if there's a social network that's a real social network that you use, we're probably on it, and we're probably putting updates out there. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram.
I was notified by SYS that we got a contingency address load. Would you like me to go ahead and load that?
Negative.
No, I'd like you to follow us on social media.
LC, LD, now 1. LC. Yes, sir. We are declaring a scrub for today's operations. Please configure for 24-hour recycle. Roger.
Well, there you heard it, folks. It is official, a scrub. Don't leave yet, though. We have a thing that only happens when scrubs occur. If you are about to close the browser window in dismay, please stand by. Because if you're here with the NSF team and you stick with us for a broadcast and a scrub occurs, we have a very special thing that happens in the NSF shop. Hopefully we'll be able to show this on the screen sooner rather than later. But within a couple hours of a scrub, if you are here and you go through a scrub with us, I should ship some of these to ULA so they can wear them.
Go. At this time, we can go ahead and take the spacecraft back to external power.
Roger.
I did try. More calls from the launch net there about going to external power. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. If you stuck through the stream and you got rug pulled here at the end, we've got a shirt for you. This one is very specific to Atlas V. I don't actually know if we've done this one before. Maybe we have. The shirt says, I watched the whole stream and all I got was an Atlas V scrub. Of course, the scrub on the t-shirt matches our scrub in the upper left corner. It says Atlas instead of being mission specific. But there is the link over in chat. The only way you can get these is by hanging out with us and being subjected to a scrub on the live stream. It's just a couple hours. We turn on the secret shop. If you click through that link, you can grab one. And then everybody can be like, where did you get that Atlas V scrub shirt? And you can say, I was there when the Atlas V scrubbed and I was watching the live stream. Yes, the special. We have done a scrub patch. There's no scrub patch for this one, but we did do a launch patch, a Starship launch patch. Maybe one day we'll do a special scrub patch. But today we've got that Atlas V t-shirt because you were here when Atlas V scrubbed. It could have said, well, I got a Starlink launch, but an Atlas scrub. We didn't have that shirt ready, unfortunately. Good grief. I watched the whole stream to watch a Falcon 9, but Atlas V scrubbed in the end. Hey, folks, it's not the end of the world. This is how rockets go. Especially, Atlas doesn't launch as often as some of the Falcon 9s you see out there. In fact, it's all the Falcon 9s you see out there. So some of these issues like valves and GSE troubleshooting and stuff like that, they crop up. But you know the saying, you'd rather be on the ground wishing you were flying than flying wishing you were on the ground. Of course, if you're on the ground, you can be wearing that fantastic scrub shirt from the shop. Sorry. It's late.
By the way, have we not come up with the line, I came for an Atlas launch and all I got was a Falcon 9?
Oh, gosh. We'll have to do that. Next time there's this sort of situation, we'll have to modify the t-shirt design or something like that. Oh, look. Scrub orders are already coming in.
Yeah, instead of I came for whatever and all I got was this stupid t-shirt, I came for an Atlas and all I got was a Starlink.
And all I got was a Starlink. All I got was another Starlink. Nice.
I think we really need that for SLS. I came for SLS and all I got was a Starlink.
And all I got was a Starlink. Yeah. Nice.
Because how many times has that happened?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, there's quite a few we watched from the parking lot of the press site for that. Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, folks, there you saw that latest official scrub posting there. Let me say thanks to just a couple more people. Of course, the scrub shirts are going to be coming in. Julia got some merch from the shop. It's a fast food full moon doubleheader field team member order placed during a hold sort of night. Julia, we appreciate the support, getting the tour shirt there. Thank you so much for the hopping into the shop and supporting what we do. We couldn't do it without you. MidCon 77 did. Oh my gosh. What the heck? all of a sudden the store interface just popped up and some large number of scrub shirts just popped into the interface. I'm not going to read them all. Midcon 77, $10 super chat. FAA announced this afternoon they'd be making adjustments to the NAS and specifically mentioned the effect on launches. Could this delay be part of that? Midcon, no. Scrub here has been caused because of a issue with the rocket. We heard about them troubleshooting the valve. This does not seem to be FAA, FTC, FCC, MIA, anything like that related. This seems like it was a technical issue this evening, potentially with the valve. I don't know that we have confirmation that that's specifically what scrubbed it. I didn't get to read that entire other thing there, but we do appreciate the super chat. Apocalypse Cow, boom. Says, so on the closer wide shot, how many of those flickering lights are flame stacks and how many are just lights? Because yikes. I think there's lights and there's a little bit of atmospheric turbulence in there, Apocalypse Cow. I'm just going to read some of these messages. I'm not going to go through every single one of them. Some people saying, got the scrub shirt. Some people saying, thank you for keeping me entertained in spite of the eventual scrub. We didn't just keep you entertained, we kept you clothed as well. Let's say love from Trogdor. Nice. Trogdor. There will be no burninating this evening of the countryside launchpad or otherwise. Gary says, thanks for all the fish. Tyler, I came for a VS3 and all I got was Whataburger on the moon. I'll allow it. That one's good. Martin says, hi, NSF. Thanks again for the great streams. Anonymous says, womp womp scrub, but it's part of a store message, so it's womp womp scrub shirt, I think. In any event, folks, let's cut the field team loose. Let's let them get in from this doubleheader here this evening. Saying thanks down the list. D-Wise, out in the field, thank you so much for helping provide some of the views here this evening. We appreciate you.
Of course, it has been an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to being here on the day that this actually launches. But those of you who hung out with us, you didn't go away empty-handed. We had a launch already. So, till next time.
It's a good problem to have. At least imagine the day where we at least got one launch today. Oh, we just got one launch. That is quite the way to observe these things. Also out in the field, Sawyer Rosenstein. Sawyer, thank you so much for popping in.
Always a pleasure. Yeah, it's nice to not go away totally empty-handed, just one empty hand as opposed to the other. And also, a shout-out to the amazing people who said hi to me, recognized me out here at Cars Park. There are a couple owners now of an NSF patch. Again, if you meet us in person and we have them on us, we will hand those patches out to you. So, yeah, it was weird hearing my voice as I was talking right down the pier, but always good to see viewers out here. If you're ever down here for a launch and you see one of us, come say hi.
Yeah, don't be shy. That is the rule. If you find an NSF member out in the field during a rocket launch around Starbase or something like that, we usually carry little special patches that don't get sold in the store. And if you find us, we are supposed to hand you a patch. We're supposed to carry them around. So, Sawyer, thank you so much. I don't know if Max can check in, but Max Evans out there as well. Big thanks to Max for going out and setting up some of these shots we've been sharing with you, and also some other special camera angles that if we get a good launch, we hopefully get in the future. Max is one of the fantastic photographers out there, and honestly kills it over in the shop with the metal prints and the paper prints and that sorts of stuff. We got some special Christmas merch coming up too as well. But also today, Ryan Weber, appreciate you being on comms with me.
It's a pleasure as always, Das. It's it's things you can get to see a launch, but as we always like to say, better scrubs, not ruds. Rather see the thing go off in one piece, not in a bunch of different pieces. So yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Hey, thanks to the production team as well, the people pressing the buttons and pulling the levers to make the stream happen. That was Mr. Kevin Michael Reed this evening. Always a good time to hang out with Kevin here. Always doing a fantastic job. Lastly, here at the end, my name is John Galloway. You may know me as DOS. We're going to take you over to the Starbase Summer. You know the videos we do a couple times a week. They hold my eyes open with toothpicks and they flash Starbase video in front of me and I have to say what I see. And it's like flower vase, cow, starship, whatever. We've got one of those videos coming out in just a few minutes here. You don't have to go home. If you stay here in this stream, you're just going to be reading chat replays for the rest of the night. So head on over and watch the Starbase Summary. We appreciate all the support. Don't forget your scrub shirts, and we will see you nerds later. Maybe there's some slow-mo even. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
And here we go.
We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
RCPA chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, planet.
Water towers fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight count FT'd off. Bring in FT'd off. Off. It's orange!
45! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.